All right, what's up, people? I'm live. I was trying to do it on my computer, and then it didn't work. So I had to make a few adjustments. Made a few adjustments, and we'll just do it off the cell phone. That seems to work pretty well. Brad was having such a good stream. I wanted to keep it going. I saw some people talking about conspiracy theories, and I was like, "Oh boy, now we're talking something interesting." So I figured that if we decided to talk a little bit about conspiracy theories, we can. I'm trying to find a good spot for this. I had to readjust. See, I had my computer all set up to go live and everything, and it wouldn't do it. It just wouldn't do it. So I don't know why, what was going on. So I have to make some last second adjustments here. So you guys sit tight while I get this camera all worked out. Hopefully you're making your way over from Brad's channel to my channel. If you are, great. Welcome, 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 welcome. If you're new, which I doubt it, glad to have you back. There we go. Okay, we're making adjustments. All right, there we go. I just got to turn now. So I'm going to turn. And what I'll do is I can monitor the channel from here. All right, we're getting everything set up. Ready? And switch. So we turn from that direction to this direction. Hello, Libby. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. Thank you for stopping on in. We just came off of That's Brad's channel. He had a great stream going on. I had to make all these adjustments. There we go. How's that? That's not too bad. Yeah, let's get this hair out of my face. I haven't done a face-to-face in a while with you guys, and seeing that Brad was doing his, I wanted to really jump in on one. Hold on. We're not... I'm going to turn this off. I don't like that in the background. Okay. Woo! Hopefully everybody's having a good day. Coaster World, evil surrounding us. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see everybody stopping on in and coming into the stream. Like I said, look at the hair. It's getting so long. Almost ready for my donation. Somebody told me I look like a wrestler the other day. Hogan, you were going to meet me at the Thunderdome. But yeah, getting really long, ready to make the donation for some kids. Hook one of them up. I'm growing my hair out for kids with cancer. So kids with cancer who need wigs, I'm going to grow my hair for them. Good to see you, MRDD223+1. So I figured I would grow my hair out so that I could make a donation to kids with cancer, and that's why I've been growing it for a little over a year now. So, you know what, Brad? I had my computer all set up to go, but it wouldn't. I was sitting there watching the live. Hold on, focus. I was seeing the live thing spin and spin and spin and spin, and it wouldn't start. I was like, bloody hell. So I went ahead and just got onto my phone. It was just easier. Hello, emergency vehicles. Good to see everybody. So many people jumping in. It's so great to see everybody so early on. Oh, wow. Look at all the subs we picked up from Brad's Sub Swap. You guys make sure you sub swap. We can also talk conspiracy theories. Some people were talking some stuff on Flat Earth at Brad's channel. I thought it would be interesting if we talked about some of that. Like we bounced some ideas off each other. Maybe we can work out some... what's going on with these live streams. Excuse me, not live streams, with these conspiracies. Maybe we can figure something out together. Conspiracies, sub swap, and more. That's right. So you guys go ahead and make sure you sub swap each other if you haven't done so already. Anybody who's in here is clearly a cool cat. We got 7 people watching, 3 thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. That helps out more than you guys could ever believe. And more than you could ever believe. Carolyn, how are you? Good to see everyone. Wow, this is great. This is great. Whee! Let's see, live control room. What can we info and settings? Let's make some adjustments. Normally, I don't do these adjustments on the phone, so this will be nice that I can actually get in there for once and make adjustments. Monitorization already. Request manual review. That didn't take long. That didn't take long for them to block that. So, oh well, you know. Does it? So you are a you believe with the flat Earth, and that's okay if you do. That's okay. I'm not gonna. No one's gonna pick on you. I'm just asking. You do believe in flat Earth? It's interesting. My biggest thing with flat Earth is that if the Earth is flat, gravity can't be a function, and if gravity can't be a function, then this comet was based on its prediction route on how many times it was going to come on, based on the idea of the theory of gravity. So for that theory to work and it come around every so often, and it was predicted using the model of gravity, I'm going to have to assume then that gravity does work, and therefore the Earth cannot be flat. But that's an idea, just an idea. What do you think out there? I can't believe Subswap winds up taking off let's see, I'm just getting all this set up. I never do this during my stream. So this is new for me to set up the tags while I'm streaming. I don't normally do this. But it's an interesting idea. I think that the flat Earth, it is hard to prove. But however, though, like I said, gravity was used to predict a return path. And you don't look at the evidence presented. You look at the things past it and see, does that line up with the evidence that's presented? And so far, it does not. It does not. You're not flat. That's SMP Biker. Don't think I've ever seen you here before. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us and chill, chat, get it all done. Is it? I ate some bad shrimp yesterday. I think that's what happened to me. Is I just had some bad shrimp, and it messed up my tummy. It messed up my tummy a bit. All right, that's looking good. So, what has everyone been up to as of lately? I know I haven't done these face-to-faces in a long time. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite with you guys, so I figured like this would be a nice change of pace. And I put my contacts in so I can look so beautiful for you guys. Chemtrails, Brad, absolutely. Now, chemtrails are something that is a little bit of a different story, and here's why. Here's why chemtrails are a little bit of a different story. Because we know that weather modification is something that the government has been working on. That's not a question. That's in no question whatsoever. We know that that's something that the government does. I know because I used to work for the military, and I did several jobs that involved working with radar and working with gravity is still a theory. It is still a theory, but you have to remember the difference between the word theory and hypothesis. And I think that's a word that gets forgotten a lot, the idea of theory. Now, what is a theory? Because we really need to break into that. When you talk about the evolution theory and gravity as a theory, what does that mean? What does that really, really mean? Now, theory, though, because you can never prove anything. We could never prove because it's a theory. Unless you were there firsthand, you can't prove anything. But there is a difference between a hypothesis and there's a difference between a theory. Let's go ahead and dive into that so you can understand the difference, if you don't already. If you do, please, I'm not insulting your intelligence. I'm just getting ready to explain it. Now, the difference between a hypothesis and a theory is that a hypothesis is an idea. We would have an idea of gravity. So gravity started off as a hypothesis. Okay, so then what they did was they took the idea of gravity and they put it into a model, and they tested and they ran and they checked and they measured. And based on those checks and measures, they were able to say, although we can't prove it, the working model that we have developed shows that this is what is happening. And therefore, we call it a theory, which a theory actually means a hypothesis that has been tested and shown to be consistent in a lab. So when tested his idea, his theory for his hypothesis for Halley's Comet, and it did come back around 75 to 76 years later, it proved his theory to be a working model. Therefore, we can deduce that gravity is working as is predicted because the model showed that this was to come around again, and it did. So therefore, we can show that gravity is a theory because there's no way to disprove or prove, but the attractions of matter to each other based on mass is, I would say, has been shown. Based on the math, everything can be predicted. Okay, but what makes that happen? What makes Halley's Comet come back around every 75 to 76 years in an elliptical orbit? What would make that happen? The only thing that you could, if something is going, right, and there's nothing to bring it back around, it's going to continue. And first law, an object in motion tends to stay in motion till acted on by an equal or opposite force. So if it's going around, Oh, Mac. Hello, Mac. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. So if this thing is going around, what would bring it back around is what I'm trying to figure out. What would bring it back around? Guys, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. I got 14 people hanging out. 4 thumbs up. That's bad math. That's bad math. What would make it come back around? Now, I'm not discrediting you. Michael Malloy. Oh my gosh, Michael Malloy. I'm so sorry. The other day, Michael Malloy, I had to bail out on your hangouts there. I had a family emergency come up right in the middle, and I had to get going. Conquistador, que pasó, que pasó, que pasó. Oh, my buddy Vladdy right there, Conquistador. Good friend of mine. Thank you for stopping in, guys. Appreciate it, everybody. Michael, thank you for that super chat, dude. Totally unexpected. Didn't see that coming. So thank you for that. Man, that's awesome. I appreciate it. Tesla says it's either. Tesla says either. Ether. You mean like the ether? It's the ether. Well, then I guess we could just as easily call ether gravity, and it would still be an unseen force, would it not? The name has very little to do with it. Would a rose not be a rose if called by another name? Would it not smell as sweet? Romeo and Juliet? It would. It would still be the same thing. The principles, it doesn't matter what we call it. If you want to call it ether, that's fine. That's fine, Brad. Thank you so much for helping out, man. Thank you for sending everybody over. Thank you so much for everything you do with your great magnet fishing videos. Brad is also my cousin through marriage, so he is family. So we always have to say thank you to our family. Take care of family. But you guys are like a family too. It's a different kind of family. But Brad is actually my wife's cousin. And we found each other. I found Brad on YouTube about 3 years ago, and we didn't know that we were family then. And it just through some DNA testing and some people just doing some stuff like that, we were able to go online and compare some DNA, and found out that my wife is Brad's cousin. So we thought that was pretty cool. That's an interesting story. Not a lot of people get to say that. Now, the chance of you finding your cousin, someone that close of a cousin, because technically they're like 4th or 5th cousins. And I mean, that's kind of a distance of family, but you know what though? It really isn't, at least for me, because I know my 4th cousins on my family side and I still talk to them. And, I remember meeting them and hanging out with them. We're all the same age, but 4th cousins is not something that's unheard of meeting. And I hang out with my cousins. I talk to them. I call them. They're on my Facebook. So having Brad as when someone would say, oh, 4th cousins, that's kind of a stretch. It's not really, because like I said, before I even knew Brad, I still had relations, knowings, talkings, happenings with my 4th cousins from my family side, which we're able to track it. Okay, was the Titanic sunk to Liberty? Yes, it was. And it's an interesting fact, Coaster World, is that when I was a kid, I used to study the Titanic. And when people say, oh, you were a kid, you studied the Titanic. No, I wanted to be an oceanographer, and my entire goal was to eventually raise the Titanic. So I studied for years everything I would need to know about the Titanic. And when I first heard the theory about how the Titanic was sank, and I started looking at some details and things, yes, the Titanic was an insurance scam gone wrong. That's what that was. You can look at the service of the boats that it was swapped with, and you can see that the life of the ship clearly outlasted what it should have, considering the damages it had taken. And then the repairs were made, and then the boat was intentionally sank. The idea was there was supposed to be some rescue effort, and it was basically a huge insurance claim. Absolutely. This was also verified by J.J. Abrams when he went down to the Titanic for the first time, and they were able to all of our DNA goes to the survivors of Noah's Ark. I disagree with that one. That one I don't agree with. That doesn't make sense. Noah's Ark doesn't make sense. Now, if I say something that offends somebody, I'm not going to say we're not going to talk about it. The Titanic was actually it did. There was a coal fire that was going on in the forward coal storage shaft. And normally a boat shouldn't be allowed to sail with a small coal fire, although these were common in coal fires just from the heat and the pressure it can cause an ignition. They did happen and they were routine, but usually you weren't supposed to sail with it like that. It was a very thing. So allowing all these tragedies to go on at once, it points towards something. Follow the money is what I've always said with conspiracies, is follow the money. The money will tell you everything you need to know. Follow the money. Okay? You don't run into it. You don't full steam ahead. All right, it's just very, very simple. Look, this is just military, from basic military understanding. If there's danger in the way, hey, there's landmines over here, you don't full speed ahead. You teach the Bible. That is wonderful, S&P. I would love to. I'm actually very fluent in the Bible as well. My Hebrew's a bit weak, but I was raised as a Messianic Jew. So if you're not familiar with a Messianic Jew is, you can go look that up. Basically, it was a Jew that followed the teachings of Jesus Christ. I no longer follow that. I reject all religion, including Judaism. Don't mistake being a Jew for Judaism. It's two different things. Judaism is the religion. Being a Jew is a DNA testable, verifiable thing. So you teach the Bible. That's great. That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, you are familiar. Good. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. You're quite familiar. Well, S&P Biker, that's awesome that you teach. I think that there are some amazing teachings from the Bible that we can take out of how to treat each other respectfully, how to take care of one another. There's nothing wrong with that. I just reject the entire religious premise of it all. You did. You studied all religions. Very good. So you all familiar with Messianic Jew. So yes. My Bible is a growth book. Well, good. I'm glad. See, I will never tell somebody that something that works for them doesn't work for me. Even if it's bullshit, even if it was a placebo and it works for you, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But that's okay. That's okay. I think Catholic Mass is beautiful. Christmas around Christmas time is some of the most beautiful singing ever in the world. I love that. I love aspects of religion. I love holidays, but I don't follow any particular religion myself. Just doesn't make any sense to me, and I feel there's too many contradictions. I don't want to offend anybody, so we start a big issue of Jose West hanging out with me, Jose West. But no, it's just not something that works for me. Doesn't work. The gift of free will. Well, we can discuss free will if you really would like to. I don't mind. We can talk religion if you want to. I don't mind getting into a little bit of it. We can discuss free will. But the problem with free will is this. Did the devil have free will? Does the devil have free will? Or I guess I need to be more specific here because we're going to be specific, not the devil. Did Lucifer, the angel of light, have free will? To a sea of green. Did Lucifer have free will? It's a good question. Did he have free will? Because he rejected God, did he not? And if so, was that not part of God's plan? Did not God not know that would happen? The point of the thing, though, is that with free will, when you say that he gave us free will, Lucifer had free will and he had direct communication with God, and he was able to make his decision to reject God based on his free will and his direct contact. We would be required to either accept or reject God. Nobody knows the devil's name. I do believe it was Lucifer, was it not? The bright and morning star? Genesis? Is that not in Genesis? Lucifer was called the right hand of God, fallen angel, bright morning star. He was the angel of light, was he not, according to the Bible? Really? That's interesting because it does specifically mention the morning star, which was described as Lucifer, the angel. That devil who was cast down into the garden. I believe that's in the Bible. I could be wrong. Not a movie about a whale. Free Willy! Nobody knows all our titles. Okay, but we're just going to use the name to identify the being as such. How about that? So the being that is thusly known, we'll call him Paul for now, or Ringo. We'll call him Ringo. Did Ringo have direct interactions with God? Well, obviously, yes, because he had to reject him, and he had to know him, and he had free will. So based on that, though, the devil was able to reject the God based on free will and firsthand account. Yet, as Christians, we're asked, as a Christian, you're asked to accept God with free will based on no empirical evidence, which is kind of wrong, that you're going to receive the same punishment for the same crime with less information. You know what's interesting, though? Let's kind of move away from that matter because I don't want to offend anybody with this, but I will leave you with this. I love studying both sides. Why is losers by the elites and the powers that be? Why? Who knows? Who knows? People are weird. People are weird. If you think that this is the first generation of anybody that has worshipped something weird, there's nothing new under the sun, quote the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. So this whole idea of worshiping Lucifer or whatever is nothing new. Is nothing new, and they just do it. Who knows? I don't know. But what I would think this is go check out Dark Matter. Go watch some Dark Matter. Okay, wait. This might be rough for some people. Tell me shut up if it is offensive. But can we talk about that? Yes, we can talk about 9/11. Absolutely. I don't care. We can talk about any conspiracy theories, but we're going to do it with two things. We're going to do it with two things. We're going to do it with courtesy, and we're going to do it with respect. That's the two things we're always going to maintain. As long as we can keep courtesy and respect, we can talk about any subject. There should never be a subject we can't talk about. Never. I don't mind risking offending people. I hope I don't, but I don't care if I do, because I don't care if I offend you. It's not meant to be that way. I would never intend, but I'm not going to apologize for it. So yes, we can talk about 9/11. Absolutely. Chemtrails. Look, weather modification exists. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that right now. That's not a question. That's not a maybe. That's not a what if. I'm telling you firsthand. Weather modification exists. Okay? We know this. This is a proven fact. I think that's another word that gets thrown around too much. The fact. The fact is that this lady's testimony. The fact is this. The fact is that. And I hate when people say the fact is. Unless it's a fact, that's not a fact. You can't just say the fact. First off, you can't say fact and feeling. Those two don't go together. Oh, I'm telling you right now, weather modification. Look right here. Is real. Not a question. Not a question. That's never been a question. It's the extent of what they can do. Is HAARP able to pump higher active radio waves into the clouds? Yeah, they sure are. What does that do? It can do a lot of things. When you, Bohemian Grove, Hollywood Illuminati. Yes, this stupid dog. You guys, I want to get back to the Bohemian Grove because that's an interesting subject. I got to take my puppy out. She's got to go spend a penny. I will be like 2 minutes. You guys continue to be right here. I'll be right back. All right, Butter, let's go. Come on, baby girl. Baby girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you. Let me call you a name. All right. Okay, see, that didn't take long. I told you. I'm quick. She was quick. She tried to help out with the stream. Okay, what were we talking about? What did I miss? What were we talking about? What were we talking about? I'll get back into it over here. Towers going down, okay? First, you have to remember that the towers were made to withstand an impact of an airplane, okay? They were made to. No building in history has ever been brought down by fire. Never. Doesn't happen. The towers were brought down. I want you guys to think of something like this about 9/11. It was a magic trick, okay? It was a magic trick. I'm going to tell you. That's possible. That could be because that many people watching on PS4. There could be 29,000 people around the world watching online, watching stuff. That's completely possible. That's not even 0.001% of the population watching, so that's more than feasible. I don't think that's much of a conspiracy theory, but it is interesting to see if they don't inflate their own numbers. I bet they do to make it look like they're getting more than they are. Okay. Did you rape and kill? Yeah. Rape and kill at Bohemian Grove. I like that, though. Nunya, I like that, though. I like how you come in here. That's a good idea right off the bat. Okay, now, with the towers, here's what I want to say on that. The towers was a magic trick, okay? You guys pay attention to the magic trick. Are you watching the magic trick? Watching the magic trick. Are you watching the magic trick? How many numbers were I holding? How many fingers were I holding up on my hand? How many fingers? Not over here. How many fingers over here? How many were over here? How many were watching my hand move over here while I was holding up 2 digits down here? Did anyone see that? Were you guys watching, or did you pay attention to the show over here? It's really interesting that this hand sign actually attracts the eye too. If you don't know, if someone waves their hand like the Jedi mind trick, it actually pulls the eye. It's a magic trick. It's part of the magician's thing. People don't realize that. But the point of it was this, okay? You need to destroy a building, okay? You got to destroy a building because there was evidence in that building. What was in the evidence? Well, the day before the towers came down, the federal government was being not audited, but questioning on the disappearance of like $1.2 trillion had gone missing. And the evidence for that would have been found in Tower 7, okay? Now, if you just blew up Tower 7, that would cause too much. You can't just look at Tower 7 and watch Tower. For those who don't remember 9/11, how many buildings went down that day? 3. 3 buildings collapsed that day. 3 buildings collapsed on 9/11. They don't talk about the third one. Why? Because we were all busy watching the magic trick over here. Okay? While they were blowing up the building with the evidence over here. It was a cover-up. How do you destroy a building without anybody noticing? You destroy 2 more buildings. That's how. That's why 9/11 happened. It was to cover up the loss of the $1.2 trillion. The elite are evil. They don't care about us. Well, then we have to define, of course, your definition of elite. What does elite mean? What does it mean to be elite? Can't say the top 1%. At least in the United States, to be in the top 1%, you need to make about $130,000 a year. Oh, C-Dub, thank you so much. I understand you today, but I appreciate everybody stopping in, hitting that thumbs up button. It's always a pleasure. Again, thank you to Michael Malloy for that super chat coming through, hooking me up. That's what I'm talking about. If you guys are doing, make sure you sub-swap each other, help these channels grow. We're just doing some stupid conspiracies. Why do we know about all these crimes and murders and nobody answers it, but they put me in jail for growing a plant? I hear you, MRD. I hear you. I hear you. Why do they do that? Well, evil doesn't like to be called out on its evil. I'll say that much. Evil does not like to be called out on its evil. The ones with the power. Okay. Well, I guess we'd have to better define power then. It was reported on certain channels before it fell. Oh, I remember. I remember watching the coverage of Tower 7 going down. And then I asked people later, what about Tower 7? What? When Tower 7 came down, what about Tower 7? How did that collapse? Someone told me, oh, the building caught fire. No, buildings don't go down because of fire. That's never happened in the history of buildings. Never, 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 never. Okay, so a building collapsing by fire is their explanation. Doesn't happen. It was a controlled detonation. Okay, that one was guaranteed. Were the Twin Towers coming down? I think those were also controlled detonations, but it was you have to get everybody looking over here before you can make the magic trick happen over here. And that's exactly what magicians do. When they put the thing in their hand and they bring it up over here, they're attracting your eye because the real trick is happening over here. And that's exactly what happened. I'm probably going to get killed for this. They're not going to like that I called them out. I caught them. I know how they did their trick, and I know what it was for. I don't think, I don't question, I don't wonder. I know what it was for. I know. It's not hard to figure out. Does it sound a little arrogant? Sure. Why not? I'll be a little arrogant. I know. So the plane that hit the Pentagon does cover up evidence? Possibly. It may have just been another distraction. If I was going to do a plan A would be bring down these 2 towers. Should that not work, we need a plan B. Plan B needs to hit another major. I think it was all just part of the whole illusion. That way it looked coincidental that 3 buildings in one place went down and 2 other planes crashed elsewhere. It was all part of the show. It was a distractionary measure. It was a distraction to make distractions. You need people. The Pentagon needed to be busy. Okay. It needed to be highly busy. Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want to do just the trick. You need, the planes for the Pentagon and the one that crashed in Pennsylvania, its destination. Okay. An illusionist doesn't tell you they're going to do a trick and then they show you something. They always give you this story or this elaborate thing, or they bring out the pretty girl, something more. You got to fool the eyes. You can't have people focusing. If they had just hit the two towers in New York, the eyes would have been on New York. The whole world would have been focusing on New York. But instead, the towers are coming down and we have other coverage elsewhere to watch. I don't think those were planes that hit the Pentagon. I don't think it was a plane. I think that was a missile. It was a cruise missile. Now that I'm not sure of, but I think it was a missile that hit the Pentagon, that they fired their own type of missile at the Pentagon. It doesn't make sense. That was to distract, and that was part of the distraction. That was all part of the distraction. All part of the distraction. Now, see, though, I think, and we can tie it all back together. I think that the elite, or as you like to say, the powerful, well, of course, the owner did. He also didn't go to work that day, which he normally did at the tower. He went and got a haircut at 10 o'clock in the morning, which is very odd. And anyway, point is, though, is that how do the elite use religion? Religion is a tool, and they use religion to keep us, keep an eye on ourselves, to self-police. They police ourselves. They put us on the honor system. If you accept this religion, then you must accept this, and you must not this. And if you do, you'll tell on yourself, because then you'll be forgiven. It's a trick. It's a ploy. Oh, no. See, now here's how that works, though, okay? You don't get your hands dirty. You don't do it yourself. That's the stupidest thing in the world, blowing up a tower yourself. Of course you hire terrorist Muslims to do it. Of course. I shouldn't say terrorist Muslims. We'll go ahead, because I have a lot of friends that are Muslims. But some are, some not my friends, but there are terrorists that are Muslims. But we'll go ahead and just say, we'll remove it for now. We'll say Tower 7. What about, this is what we're talking about. Tower 7 was intentionally destroyed to cover evidence. All right. You don't do the dirty work yourself. This is exactly why when you have the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, you had the mob hire the Purple Group, which was another Jewish organization, but that's beside the point. The point is, though, is that you don't do the deed yourself. You never do the deed yourself. You hire somebody else to get their hands dirty. Now, who's willing to fly a plane into this? You go talk to some leaders. They find some radicals that are willing to go blow themselves up. You pay them a ton of money. They do the job. Your hands look clean. It was who they said it was. The planes were, there were two planes. Two planes did hit two towers. Okay, that's fact. We know that. They found pieces of it years later, still on top of buildings, parts of the airplane. It was the motive behind it that was, the towers had nothing to do with it. It was just part of the illusion. Did I miss the Area 51 stuff? No, Joe, we haven't gotten to the Area 51 stuff. We'll get to that soon enough. This is fun stuff. I love talking conspiracy theories and ideas and stuff like that. This is great. Which one should we go over? What should we talk about? This is great stuff, man. This is fun stuff to talk about. People don't realize. Josie Wales. Joe is stopping in. Joe's got about, I hope it's okay to say, congratulations, got about 4 more weeks till the new little ones arrive. I'm so excited. That's true. That is true. I don't think anyone's innocent, though. No. Is it possible? Sure. It's possible. Doesn't mean that he was, I mean, why wouldn't it be impossible to believe that it could have survived? It's possible. It's not probable. I don't think that they probably used that to reinforce it. Don't get me wrong. They probably used evidence later to reinforce the illusion. All right. They probably planted the wheel with the passport. Do I think that's real? No, but I think they were using some things to try to cement their claims. I mean, it was clearly a hired job. All right. But you hire outside people to do the job. You never get in city shooters. You always get out of city shooters so that the out of city shooters do their job and leave. But they needed them to die. Okay. So is it possible that they found the passport? Sure. Does it matter? No, it doesn't matter. It's more distraction. You see, that's the distraction. They throw out distraction stuff like that. So we all talk about that crap instead of talking about why the hell did Tower 7 come down? That's the distraction. That's the illusion. They got you talking about everything else but Tower 7. And Tower 7 is where the trick actually happened. The illusion was here. The trick was here. That's what happened with 9/11. It's hard to wrap your mind around something so simple. You want to blow a building up. How do you take out a building without anybody noticing? You blow up 2 more buildings. And should anyone be, what about the van with the picture of the 2 planes going into the towers? You know, you got to remember, okay, you got to remember how cameras work and how lighting works, okay? You're never, especially in the 2000s, we do have innocence in life. Well, for there to be innocence in life, there must be guilt in life. And I don't think anybody's innocent of anything because I don't think anybody's rightly guilty of anything. But what about the van? I'm going to agree that the pictures in 2000 of any camera and the way camera lights and the shutters and everything, you're not going to get a frame by frame high speed. What type of camera was it filmed on? Did it catch every frame? There's some questionable things in videography that are interesting. So I can't say for sure that a plane hit it, whether it be controlled plane, military plane, a plane smashed into those towers. What happened to all the people on board? What if, I just thought of something, guys. What if the passengers that were supposed to board the first 2 planes that supposedly hit the towers, they took those planes once they took off. Okay, everything went on as accordingly. Then some operative, I'm not going to say specifically, used 2 military remote controlled planes, flew them into towers. Boom. Now you've got 2 planes full of people. How do you get rid of those? You can't. They knew what flight they were supposed to be on. How do you get rid of it? Well, if you crashed one into a field in Pennsylvania and maybe slammed one into another building, that might achieve what you were looking for. Now, is this a perfect idea? No, I'm just throwing it out there. We're just throwing out ideas and you guys can say whatever to it. But there you go. That's how you get rid of a plane full of 2 planes full of people, by crashing 2 more planes that weren't full of people and substituting them with 2 empty planes. It's an idea. Could be done. Could be easily done. It could be easily done. I don't know, man. There's some things out there. It's just interesting stuff going around. You got to think about these things sometimes. Never look at the evidence presented. Always look at what the aftermath would be. I guess we can come back to Noah's Ark with that one. No. Well, innocence. What do you mean by innocence? What do you mean by innocence? You got to define innocence. Drunk drivers, it's terrible that there's a drunk driver. It was a tragic loss of life, but you have to explain what innocence is first before we can understand. What do you mean by innocent? Did they ring ones? Okay, it's not saying that the planes weren't going to go down, but they never gave locations. You know, hey, the planes were taken over. Noah's Ark conspiracy? Sure. It's not real. It never happened. But what I want to get into is, hold on now, MRD, I think I've touched a little nerve here, and I want to explain myself before we move on from this, because I can see a little tension building there. And you have to first tell me what you mean presumption of innocence. What is innocence? Innocent of what? Exactly. Why did they, if they cover up, then why would they care about the planes being full of passengers when they know they will die in the buildings? Because you don't want people reporting where they are. You don't want people reporting where they are when this happened. Okay, we got phone calls we were told were from this plane. How do you know that the passengers were on that plane? If I took you 30,000 feet in the air, would you know where you are? No. You have no idea where you are. So even if you made a call and said, hey, someone has taken over the plane, we're going to charge them, we're going for it, our best wishes, and then they go and they hang up. Where did that plane crash? Can you say that that plane was the one that hit the tower? Or if you were a passenger in that plane and I told you you were on your way to New York, would you assume otherwise? Would you be able to tell? That was not full of passengers. I understand. I'm not saying full of passengers. I'm trying to explain that you don't know where you are when you're in a plane. you're trusting that they're taking you the right direction, but you have no clue other than maybe if you could use some positioning of the sun, satellites, or excuse me, stars, you might be able to fix your position and verify you're going. But if I was to put you on plane B and I told you you were on plane A and plane A was going from Boston to LA, you're going to accept that. If I make a course change and put you on a different plane that looks like the one you're supposed to be on, and then I crash you in a field in Pennsylvania, did you know the difference? Because the reason you would want the planes empty that hit the towers, you would want to pack them full of more of HE, more high explosives to make it a good show. Maybe a lot more fuel, some kind of pyrite. Not pyrite. What is that stuff that burns really hot? I think it's pyrite. Is it pyrite? Point is, though, is there's a good way to. Do I believe? I still want to get back to MRD 22's things, presumption of innocence. He says, I guess so. I guess so. My friend, when my 4-year-old baby girl was killed by a drunk driver, I thought she was full of innocence, but maybe guilty of running on the road. See, you're attributing guilt and innocence as something. I'm still trying to understand your definition of what innocence means before I can comment on the world being full of it. One of the calls says it's a frame and the line stayed open. The line stayed open. Oh, see, that's something interesting. You have to look into these things. It's possible a phone could have been ejected from a crash site in Pennsylvania and stayed open. Not likely that a phone line would stay open inside a burning building that collapsed. That's highly unlikely. But one staying open that could have been ejected from a plane crash is possible. It's just interesting ideas, people. Interesting ideas. But again, though, I hope I didn't offend him. I hope he didn't take off and leave. I didn't hear from him. And I hope I didn't offend him too much. If he did, I'm not sorry, because I still stick by my thing. There's no such thing as innocence. Nobody's innocent of everything. Souls. Okay. There we go. We're getting it clear here. There are innocent souls. Not everyone deserves to die by someone else's hand. Like the poor men and women just going to work to feed their families. Okay. Well, first off, we're going to have to go off the premise. I'm going to answer your question. I hope that it works for you, MRD223+1. There are some innocent souls. First off, you have to accept the premise that there are souls. I do not. Well, not in the soul, in the sense of the Bible soul. Okay. To deserve to die by someone else's hand. Not everyone deserves to die. So some do deserve to die by someone else's hand, according to you. Like the poor men are just going to work to feed their families. Okay. What, again, though, we're still not defining what innocence is. What is innocence? Are you mean free of consequences from the situation at hand? Are you not responsible? Is that when you mean your innocence? Like if someone robbed a bank and I didn't rob a bank, I'm innocent of the robbery because I didn't participate in it? I'm still trying to understand what you mean by innocence. Free of sin. Okay. See, I reject that idea, so that doesn't mean anything. So I can't comment on that. I reject the idea of sin altogether. We know right from wrong. Well, who told you what was right and what was wrong? What some people see as wrong to some cultures might not be. So that's a presumption of your presumption of guilt and innocence is based on a societal standard then. It's not based on a innocence or guilt, and that's a made-up thing. It's not that, see, you can be a victim of something. For instance, that drunk driver who killed your friend's daughter. Well, yeah, of course. The person who killed the drunk driver who killed that 4-year-old little girl, okay? He was guilty of drinking and driving. And if a child was out on the road, there's a parent who's guilty of not clearly keeping a good eye on their child. Now, there's a cause and effect. I don't think there's so much a guilt and an innocence. Now, did the person who drunk drive killed that daughter, are they guilty of a crime? Oh, without a doubt, absolutely. And they should feel horrible for it because they killed somebody, especially a child. That's horrible. But guilt and innocence is something totally different. Something totally different. Innocent means that you're just not, you had nothing to do with it. You're innocent of it. You're not guilty of what You're attributing innocence to an attribute. And innocence is an adjective. It's a verb. You're innocent of something. But you can't be in itself innocent. Because if you want to go by according to the Bible, aren't we all born with original sin? So at least at bare minimum, she was guilty of being a sinner. That's why I reject it, because I don't believe so. I don't believe that a little girl was a wretched hide of tyranny and scum, deserving death and burning in hell. That's what the Bible says, though. She deserved to die and burn in a lake of fire, but only through God's mercy were we able to have redemption. So before you're willing to condemn that drunk driver, do remember, though, that God was willing to condemn her to hell long before the drunk driver made that action. And it's only through the power of Jesus Christ that we can be saved. So yeah, but I reject the concept of hell, the concept of a soul. Now, I will say this, though. When people say you reject that there's no soul, well, that's a slippery slope for me. I do know that there's energy in your body. Your brain contains electrical energy. There's an electrical energy that came from somewhere. If there's a debate and you don't buy into it, makes for one-sided debate. Very true. Very true. But a debate also must come from other things. The reason I love talking with this and this subject is that there is a debate. But if your debate only can require, this is some Rick and Morty stuff, sure. If your debate requires you to reference the Bible for everything, and I reject that as a non-factual, we can't verify everything that happened into it. We can't. It's a lot of it's speculatory. None of it is firsthand. Zero of the Bible is firsthand. Zero. Not some, not a little, not a piece. Zero is firsthand. So we have to go off account. It was defined clearly in your laws. What is innocence and guilt? Right. What is innocence, though? Was the girl innocent of a crime? Sure. Sure. She was innocent of a crime. She had nothing to do with the drinking and driving, which is against the law. But what do you mean by innocent? Innocent of what? You can't say this child is an innocent. Innocent of what? Of what? Being sinful? Being bad person? Innocent in the crime? Sure, she was innocent in the crime. She had nothing to do with the drinking and driving. So yeah, she was innocent of the crime of drinking and driving. But what do you mean by innocent? You can't just keep telling me, you're not telling me what the word innocent means in the shape of that there are innocents in this world that died. Innocent people died. An innocent bystander. So they had nothing to do with it, is what we're saying. So she had nothing to do with the situation and was affected by it. Good. Now we've described the parameters of that. She had nothing to do with what was going on and was a victim of the circumstances. Okay. Now we have an understanding. I can go forward from there. I can go forward from there. Okay. Sure. She was innocent of the crime. Sure. There are people who are innocent of crimes every day, but there are also at the same time those same people who are probably guilty of a different crime in another way. So to presume innocence, they're completely innocent of all crime, all sin, is wrong. Nobody is. Nobody is. And according to the Bible, right off the bat, which is not mine, you're all born with original sin, and therefore she can't be innocent. No. I would suggest, though, please go on YouTube, check out Dark Matter. Go check out Dark Matter. Nobody is innocent according to the Bible. We're all born with sin. We're all sinful and of a sinful nature. You're a sinful disgrace, and your sin deserves nothing more than you to burn an entire eternity in a lake of fire for all eternity. That is what you deserve. So therefore, if you deserve that, you are not innocent. Therefore, you deserve what you are getting. It's only through grace. It's only through grace and, as you say, your repentance that you're able to find your salvation from your wretchedness. No. I'm just quoting. I don't believe. No. I don't believe any of that. Because, again, if you go to God's perfect plan, if God's perfect plan had gone according to plan, we would all be 25 feet deep in naked bodies right now. Nobody would die. Nobody would leave this earth. That's why we have the Batcave. Damn straight. You saw nothing. Nothing. Well, see, that's the great part about it is I don't believe, but I get to use your arguments against you because you're the one who's setting the parameters for the rules of yourself, not me. My argument can go outside the box all the time. Your argument must stay within the confines of the Bible. So I will use your confines to argue when it's suitable for myself, and I will go outside of it when I need to expand on it. However, though, you must limit your argument to within the Bible because that's where you'd like to, or we can just reject the Bible completely in this argument, and we can go on a conversation of God's Spirit and all that without the Bible being involved. But I would say that would limit a lot. Absolutely. God did not create man. Man created God. Because, yeah, David, the way it works is like this, is that for someone as a Christian, you're everything. There you go. There, that's great. Now, see, though, now that I've put this out there, and you guys are probably thinking that I'm some horrible, horrible person because I don't believe in God. I don't say I didn't believe in God. I reject the idea of a religious God. Now, let me get into how this works for me. I've never been shown anything that will tell you that there's a God, but I don't reject that there's a possibility because I can't know everything. Is it possible there's a God? Yes. Yes. Is it the God of the Bible? No. If it was the God of the Bible and there is a God, I would not pretend that my little mind could comprehend what it would be thinking. And it would be an it. It wouldn't be a man. How can you argue? Oh, good. See, there's a difference. You've never been in a church, but you believe in him. Who's him? You believe in God? Where did you get your concept of God? I believe that is it possible that there is a higher being? Okay, let's start over real quick. Let me give you my theory real quick on how it works, okay? And then we can go on from there. But you must understand my position. I know your position. I understand your position. I got it. Let me explain my position, and then we'll be able to understand clearly what we mean for both of each other. Okay. From each other, excuse me, not both. There's multiple people here. There's a dozen watching. Thank you for everybody who's here, by the way. And if I say something that's offensive or it's just different for you, reading and life. Okay, I like that better. Okay. Here's what you got to remember is, okay, there's energy you can't destroy energy, okay? Energy is always. So it can only change forms, okay? You strike a match, the energy that was built up in the solid matter of the sulfur burns, releases heat. The energy was in a solid matter form, turned into heat, and became a different matter. It changed its form. You've never seen electricity. Very good, but I can feel its effects. Okay. I can feel its effects. I can also measure electricity. I can also predict electricity, and I can also manipulate electricity. But I've never seen electricity. Actually, yes, you have seen electricity. You've seen lightning, right? Is that not electricity? Is that not the visual? Is that not the light emitting effects of electricity in a atmosphere of 71% nitrogen, 21% oxygen? 71% nitrogen, 28% oxygen, and 1% rare gas. In fact, when we apply electricity to neon gases, we can see a neon glow. Therefore, there you go. I've seen the power in prayer. I've seen the power in suggestion. You can suggest. Your mind's a very powerful thing. Your brain can make you sick, can make you heal, can make you weak. Your brain can do a lot of things to your body just by thinking about it. Anyway, let me get back to my position here. So your brain is full of energy. There's energy in your brain, okay? That energy came from somewhere, all right? It came from somewhere, and it's still going. It's still going, that energy. When you die, that energy goes somewhere. Where does it go? Is that the soul? And we know electricity can carry information, data. We know that. They're working on quantum computers that work on this specific way. So if your brain can contain electricity, could it retain the information, the essence that is you? That is you. I think so. Now, let's pretend, though, that we also know that E equals mc squared. This is a very common equation. But for those who aren't familiar with what it exactly means, it means energy is equal to the matter times the speed of light squared. So what does that basically mean? Okay, basically, when we break that down, we don't bend a spoon. Remember, there is no spoon. There is no spoon. All right, so If energy is equal to matter, then we can also reverse that equation and say matter is equal to energy, and we'd still be correct. Okay, so let's assume then that there was a being in another dimension, a higher dimension beyond time and space, still a being nonetheless. And this being decided that it wanted to experience another dimension, a physical dimension, a 3D dimension, a dimension of X, Y, and Z axis. And it wanted to experience that. But as an energy of a being of energy, it won't have a physical effect on it because it's just an energy. So it took some of its frequency and it lowered its frequency, a piece of its frequency, to become energy into matter. Energy into matter. And from that single infinite point where that being released all of its energy and it became matter, we get a big bang. And from that, all this matter came forth. And eventually, part of that was a life form. A life of intelligent thinking was able to come forward, right? Now, when you, as a whole, you bring in experience, you experience this 3D world, this experience we have. I like the saying that we are a spirit having a human, we are a spirit having a human experience. Having a spiritual experience, we are a spirit having a human experience, and all of this emotion that we feel and the environment and the interaction, when you die, that energy goes back to the energy that created us, thus enriching the energy through experience. And you would be in what something like a heaven, where the energies of the individuals could still communicate. Could still possibly communicate. I don't know this is true. This is what I would like to think. It seems a little more scientific. The physics are now saying it's a 3D program. It's very well possible. It's no different than the flying spaghetti monster. If you believe in the Bible, you can take every aspect of the Bible and I can apply it to the flying spaghetti monster, and you can't disprove it any more than you can prove a God. This is why I can't accept a God of a man-made origin. Because just that, a God of a man-made origin is just that, just a man. How do I know? I started a religion just to see if I could do it. And you'd be surprised on how, as long as it's something catchy and funny and inclusive, people are willing to do it. It was on a very small scale. I was in Afghanistan. I just tried to start my own religion, and I knew it kind of worked when I got to a different base back here in the United States, and I saw some people doing my hand signs. No, but he had witnesses. Who had witnesses? Who had witnesses? Evil. Who had witnesses? To what? Who had witnesses? So I want to go off evil here. Who had witnesses? No, but he had witnesses. Who had witnesses? Oh, wait. I know you guys have to type, so it takes longer. So if there's like a lull time, it's not me being condescending or an asshole or anything. I'm just waiting for you to type. That's all. God's crucifixion. So you mean Jesus had witnesses, right? Okay. Who told you who these witnesses were? Who told you who these witnesses were? Look, the Bible doesn't have David Koresh, Jim Jones, Jeremy Greenbaum. Don't forget to put Jesus in there. He had to be in human form. Who told you he was in human form? The point I'm getting to, though, Evil, is that you don't have witnesses. You have secondhand account of people who were saying they were witnesses. The earliest account of any gospel can be no less than 30 years after the death of Jesus. That is no less than the first account of when it was written. So you're not looking at a first-hand account. You're looking at a 30-year-old story being written by somebody else. There is no direct witnesses. Nothing in the Bible is written firsthand. Nothing. Jesus didn't start a religion. Sure he did. What do you think Christianity is? He started his own religion, Christianity. No, I guess he didn't start it. He was the premises for it. It was John who started Christianity. John was actually called the first Antichrist because he was the first one to go against the teachings of Jesus. Chinese whispers. No, No, it would not hold up in any court if they were still alive. No, it would not. You have no physical evidence. You have no corroborating stories. None of the gospels match each other. Who was it that ordered Jesus' execution? Was it Pontius Pilate or was it Augustus? I think they asked, if you read different gospels, they can't account for who was what and doing where. It's two different ones. It's two different. They say Augustus, then they say it was Pontius Pilate. Nobody can get the accounts right because it wasn't firsthand. There was no firsthand account in the Bible. It would never hold up in a court of law. Never. Never, 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 never. If we took any accounts of the Bible, it would never hold up. No. Christianity wasn't started until Jesus. Jesus was the one who started Christianity. It was Paul who was the one who perpetrated it. Christianity had not existed before Jesus. Jesus went against the Pharisees of Judaism. Judaism was the religion of the time of the Jewish people. There was no Christianity prior to Jesus. What happened was you have Jesus' teachings. Now, do I doubt that Jesus was a real guy? Aha! There's a different question. There's a different question. Is it possible that Jesus was a real guy? Yes, of course it was. Is it possible that somebody like Jesus had a good idea, came up with a way to treat everybody respectful? Exactly, they did. They pick and choose what they want in the Bible. There's actually an original 236 books of the written Bible. It wasn't until the 8th century, I forget the name of the Pope who was in charge at the time. I want to say Benedict, but I think it's Pope Innocent III, or Pope Innocent II. I want to say, but I'm wrong on the Pope. It doesn't matter. It's the 8th century, 800 BC or AD, that the Bible was standardized. It was standardized, which means they picked and they choose which books they wanted in there, and the rest were thrown out. For instance, the Gospel of Thomas. You never read about the Gospel of Thomas in the Bible anymore. No. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene removed. The Gospel of Judas. I think Judas in the Bible was a hero in the story. I really, really do. Am I? Did you check it? Was I right? Anyone who successfully carries out CPR can be seen like Jesus breathing life into someone. I haven't thrown out any meaningless factoids. I've kept completely on topic. I've kept it completely. Talk faster and change the conversation by throwing out meaningless factoids. Facts are never meaningless. That's your ploy. Facts are never meaningless. Never, never, never. Never meaningless. The fact that you're even able to say the facts are meaningless tells that you don't want to speak facts. You want to speak feelings and thoughts and how good things feel. Oh, I talk faster and change conversation by throwing out meaningless factoids. I got what you're saying. I got what you mean, David. I got what you mean now. Okay, no big deal. It's not talking faster. I speak quick because I can process that fast, because I'm putting things together in my head and forming what I want to say from bits and pieces. And that's where they get you, because people, and Jesus be told, one of you will betray me and I forgive you. I still think Judas was one of the biggest heroes in the Bible. If nothing more, Judas's betrayal. See, I'm going to go to the Bible when we want to talk about the stories, because that's fun. We can always talk about them, and then we can analyze how silly they are. I speak faster. Okay, so the moment Judas was born, his entire life, according to God's plan, was to portray the Christ. His entire life destination was meant to hang himself. That was God's plan for Judas, was for him to commit suicide. That was God's plan for Judas, was to betray the Christ, feel so horrible about it that he would commit suicide. I like that answer, David. Listen to what they do. I'm not doing anything other than what they do. The elite, they do the same thing. The only thing is, though, is that I can talk to you and we can break it down. It's distracting. It's very distracting. But here's what they don't want you doing. They don't want you taking a little bit from here and a little from here and seeing how the pieces fit. They don't want you doing that, because when you do that, you're going to see that it's a lie. And how did the elite get to be elite? How did the powerful get to be powerful? By manipulating the lower and others into believing something. They manipulated you, and then they taught your parents to teach you, because of course, what parent would not want to save their child from a terrible fate of fire and brimstone? So you're going to teach your child these things. And the idea, though, is that they've instituted an idea. That's how you break the cycle. You have to break what was been being taught, what's being pushed. And the way they've pushed it onto us is through religion, is through a happily guy in the sky who promises us riches and glories or burn in hell forever. But the point is, though, is that you'll police yourself. You'll tell on yourself. Most people will stay in line just because of that and never, ever question, why doesn't this puzzle piece fit this one? Why don't these fit? And they don't want you doing that. In fact, I think the only sin mentioned in the Bible, if you check it, I'm not going to do it because I've already found it. But I'll be happy to tell you this. It is in the Bible, the one sin God cannot forgive, and that is questioning whether he exists or not. Now, I've already just done that, which means there's no saving my soul. I am damned to hell already. That's okay, because if a God would be willing to do that to somebody who just said why, I don't think I want to worship that God anyway. Okay, you're going to the Bible. Just look at what they did to him. I'll agree, we can look at it. But you got to remember, it's all a story. Even if Jesus was a real guy, it wasn't, who's they? The Romans? He was just being executed under the law, which Jesus said, follow the law, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, which means obey the law of the land. And if Jesus himself was found in a court of law, which you argued would be holding up, then Jesus deserved his crucifixion as he was found guilty, right? I do have the ability to speak really fast. It's not that I have the ability to speak really fast, it's I can understand, I can put things together and then articulate them quickly, yes. For those who can't, that's okay. It's not everybody can. I can speak and I can read quickly. Doesn't mean that I'm using it as if I want to distract you with it, I could. I could distract you while I speak. I'm not even using my hands. I haven't even began to use my hands. That's a whole other thing when we get to talking fast and I'm using my hands and they're everywhere. Then you really get confused because you're not quite sure. Your brain is trying to see things, but your mind is hearing things, and it's too much audio. It's really hard to keep up with. So you're kind of just focused on one thing at a time. That's why people speak with their hands. It's distraction. It's all it's all an illusion, okay? It's all a magic trick, okay? It's a magic trick. The elite and the powerful got elite and powerful through religion because they used religion to manipulate people. You can't keep an eye on everybody at all times to make sure they're doing what you want. But if I make up a big guy in the sky, first off, if you come to me and I'm a person and you say, oh, I don't like this, let me talk to God. And it says, I can always pass the blame off to this imaginary figure. And then you come back, oh, I God's will, it's just nothing we can do about it. It's just God's will. A 4-year-old little girl was hit by a drunk driver. It shouldn't have happened. The drunk driver should have died. I will be happy to talk to God and say, God, why? Why did the drunk driver live and the little girl died? That's part of God's plan. God has a plan. It's all part of a plan. Good things are coming. Now you as a parent can go back with a little bit more of a warm feeling, knowing that your child isn't dead. They're just in heaven waiting for you. And they're happy now and they're in peace. Part of God's plan. All part of God's plan. And what you've done, though, is that you forgot that there was a person who made a horrible mistake, a drunk driver who should never have been allowed to have it, probably should have been cracked down on a little bit harder. And we might have had a better person had they not been wasting time. Was the drunk driver a Christian? That's something we never even dove into. This drunk driver who killed this person. Now, if this drunk driver asks for forgiveness, they too are without sin and also are innocent. See, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. Now here, I like the way Dark Matter presented it was let's imagine that there's a mother walking with her child. This may get a little uncomfortable. Let's imagine that there's a mother walking with her child. And a man comes up and begins beating and raping this woman. And then he beats and rapes her and he kills the child. Can the rapist then ask for forgiveness and get saved? Why didn't God intervene and stop that from happening? Now you're going to say, because God gave us free will. So he doesn't interfere with that. All right. He gave us free will. Would you not say then God won't impose on the free will of the rapist, but God is allowing the free will of the victim to be imposed on by the rapist? So in lieu of that, we could say that if God did interfere and stop the rapist, the only free will he would be stopping would be the free will of the rapist. By stopping that free will of the rapist, he would be ensuring the free will of another. Now, let's say then that God doesn't intervene. This goes on. We have a woman who's been raped, a child who's been murdered, and a rapist on the loose who, let's say the rapist gets caught and then asks for forgiveness. Did the rapist really, in the eternal speck of everything, ever face? Did he ever face any true consequences for his actions? No, he didn't. Because he can ask for forgiveness and go to heaven and spend be in heaven for eternity with the woman he raped. If that's the kind of God that says that that's the justification for you can do whatever you want as long as you repent at the end. Oh my God, that is a huge spider. Hold on. Look at that thing. Holy crap, that just crawled across my floor. Yeah, right. Let me go get it real quick. That is a wolf spider. Ow! Oh, crap. Holy crap. Whew. Gonna have superpowers. Let me check. Nothing. Okay. Disappointed. Crikey, that thing was like this big around. That's a big ass spider. Crikey, mate, it was a big old spider. Came crawling out of nowhere. I went over to it and I grabbed it up. Really got it pissed off. Did I kill it with fire? No, I took it outside and threw it outside. I was afraid of killing it that it would, if there were babies on its back, if I killed it, it was going to release all the babies in the house, and that would have been worse. So I just, outside, go away. That was a big spider. I don't mind spiders, but what I went, because I went to go catch it and I didn't catch it. I hit its butt with my hand and it was like, oh, that's a hell of a spider because it had mass to it. It's like when you flick a bug, you're like, oh, they were little. But when you touch something and you can feel it like compress because you're putting weight on it, but its body is trying to push back against it. It was like, ah. Yeah. If it's not paying rent, it's out in the cold. Just remember, every time you kill and crush a spider, maybe the spider was looking at you like a roommate. Right? Whew. You saw nothing. Nothing. I'm fine with tarantulas. I like tarantulas. Once you have them defanged, they're good pets. They're cuttable. They like to be held, and they're not mean. Well, let's see. It was interesting. I have a few Muslim friends. One of my best friends, Hazim, from Iraq. I met him in Iraq. He was my interpreter. What is my view on life as a whole? Oh, goody. I'm so glad you asked. Are you ready? Are you ready? My view on life as a whole is that because we are on this earth for such a short time, you need to make the most of your life. You need to treat others well. We need to respect one another. And you need to try to be an overall decent person. If you don't have something nice to say, it's okay to say it. But we can always be respectful. It's like this. If somebody on this stream truly started getting upset and angry with me, only because you're not going to change my views, and I'm not going to stop saying it, but out of respect for you, because I will give respect first, always. I mean, they say you have to give respect to get respect, and that is the damn truth. But remember which one comes first. You first must give. You must first give before you get respect. Now, some people are like, I want you to give me respect, and then I'll respect you. No, that's wrong. It's backwards. You have to give it first. So if what I was saying was truly offending somebody, even though it's my right to say so, depending on the subject, I have no problem backing down from the conversation only because to be respectful, to remain respectful. That includes the conversation with you. Now, if I've said, look, obviously this is upsetting you, this is something that obviously is not, you don't want to discuss, it's clearly upsetting you, I would just like to respectfully end this conversation, and then I would. Now, the person over here who wants to continue the conversation with me, well, we're going to continue it, and I don't mind doing it in your presence, because now that is your choice to stay. But I will always, and person, I don't like you. You said you weren't going to talk about it. I said I wouldn't speak to you about it anymore. This person and I are going to continue on. We're going to keep going. I'm being respectful by I am removing myself from it. But now if you come to me, you've reinserted yourself. So now it's fair game again. It's a respect thing. It's always respect. So my view on life, first off, I want you guys to know then too, yes, I've had a brother who committed suicide when I was younger. So life to me means a lot. Life is so short. And I know everybody says that. Life is short. But if you believe in God, it doesn't matter. If you believe in the God of the Bible, it doesn't matter because life is short anyway. The sooner it's over, the sooner you get to being in paradise forever. But for me, life is short, which means I need to pack as much life in as I can before it's over. And I may not, if there's an afterlife, then I'm just bonused. If there isn't, then I hope this one was a good one. I hope I did well. I hope that through my actions and my words, that some good will come from it. And if it keeps doing right, I really don't care, to be honest. Right, Snowflake, absolutely. I'm sorry. I see. I don't ever say sorry. I generally don't say sorry. I generally apologize. If something happens, I'll apologize, but I don't say sorry. And here's why. It sounds a little arrogant, but let me explain. When you say sorry, words have meaning, and I think a lot of words have lost their meaning in these days. And so when you say sorry to somebody, I'm sorry. What you're saying is I regret my actions and this and that and the other. But I don't think a deliberate action can have regret. And here's why. If I walked up to you and punched you in the face and I said, I'm sorry, am I? Am I really sorry? Probably not. So what I will say is I will apologize, because if I did something, because I'm in control of me, I am responsible for me, and I hold myself accountable for my actions. So if I did something, I did it intentionally, which means I can't be sorry for what I did if I did it intentionally. However, I can apologize for what I have done. I apologize that my actions, my words have caused this. But am I sorry about it? No. David Beach, it was absolutely a pleasure having you as always. Thank you so much for stopping by, man. You take it easy. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Again, great having you. So I don't know if that answers the question the way you guys were hoping. I don't know. I'll always be respectful from people, and I don't want to upset anyone, but I'm not going to go out of my way to do so, and I'm not going to apologize for it, or I'm not going to be sorry about if I do. If I upset somebody, life is upsetting. I'll do my best to minimalize it for you. Out of respect for each other, I can minimalize it for you. That's what I can do. That's what I can do. It's all about, man, just respect. I give respect to everybody I meet right off the bat until I feel otherwise. Respect everybody. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. No, ma'am. Everybody. Everybody. Hell, even my friends to this day, I still yes, sir. Yes, ma'am to my friends. Why wouldn't you be most respectful to your friends? What's I been up to? Not a whole lot, man. Not a whole lot. Just been watching the news, laughing at the world. The whole world is just one big joke to me anyway. I just laugh at the world. It's a joke. It's all one big joke, and no one gets that it's just one big punchline. Commanding Fortnite. I've been playing some Fortnite, of course. Play a little Star Trek Online. If you guys want to play Star Trek Online, that's a fun free game you can get. Hi, Peanut. Hey, bub, did you just wake up? Yeah, come here. Just woke up. Hi. Hey, my boy, come on. Oh, good stretch. Good stretch. Come on down. No, right here. Come on. It's okay. There's a good boy. There's my good boy. There's my puppa boy. Where's my puppy? There's my Peanut. He just woke up from his nap. Hi. You being a good boy today? Yeah. See everybody's here hanging out with us? How many genders is there? Oh, that's easy. There's 2. You feeling better as you woke up from your nap? Yeah. It's not safe, Coaster. It's a dump. It's a playground. What is? Scotland? I'd love to. I can't wait to visit Scotland someday. Pretty sure George is family in some way, shape, or form. Pretty sure. I got family from Scotland, and George just fits the profile. Pretty sure he's a family member in some way, shape, or form. Maybe distant cousin, but family nonetheless. I'm a big fan of Ben Shapiro. I don't normally talk a lot about things like that, but I am a big fan of Ben Shapiro. He's another little Jewish guy. Coaster, I'll avoid it then. What? M&Ds. I'm not sure what that is. M&D. 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 Man, I really don't know what we're going over. We picked up a ton of new subscribers today. That's great. I guess we just talk about this some of the channel. What's going on? Sip will be back for Joe and a J. Morning show will be back November, I want to say 16th. November 16th. Oh, it's a theme park in Scotland. Scotland, lad. Get in my belly, baby. Oh, damn, there's that ringing in my ear. That's the ear hairs dying, and they don't come back. I'm going to be deaf by the time I'm 40. What? Oh, I know, Joe. I miss chatting with you, man. Maybe you should just give me a call sometime, dude. You guys have me on Facebook. You can always just ring me up. Hey, just wanted to see what you're up to, Jay Green. You guys are always welcome. Answer your ear. Hello? Morty. No. Stop ringing in my ear. So, Cleveland, Mandela effect. So, Mandela effect. Good. I'm glad we're talking the Mandela effect. Good. See, I like you. You bring up some good ones. The Mandela effect is shit. Because everything that the Mandela effect people have said, oh, I remember it this way. I have a very good memory, and I remember it the other way. Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. I've gone over this here. Let's do the Forrest Gump one. I'm going to debunk it for you really easy. First off, I remember it the way that everybody says they don't remember it. They say, Mama said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates. Now, people say that's not the line. The line was Mama said life is like a box of chocolates. No, because the first time you hear Forrest Gump say that, you have to remember in the movie we're changing timelines, okay? Why did they do that? I'll tell you why. Yeah, they did that. It used to be Febreze with 2 E's. What they did was they took out an E for printing because it's saved on the label. Or a company goes bankrupt and then they change the name and they drop an E. It's a whole new company. Same product, different name. It's how business works. Anyway, so Mama said life was like a box of chocolates is how I remember it. And everyone says the line is Mama said life is like a box of chocolates. Okay, so let's break that down though. When in the movie did you first hear Forrest Gump say this? I'll tell you because I know the movie Light for Light. It's one of my favorite movies. Mama said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Bubba was my very best girlfriend. He was going to be a shrimp cam, except he died right there on that river. That's all I got to say about that. All right, anyway. So it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I know Forrest Gump inside and out. All right. When Forrest is sitting on his bench, on the bench. Thank you, George. He's sitting on the bench. Okay? He's sitting on the bench. Someone phoned them and they said it's always been spelled that way. Oh, maybe it has. Look at the Berenstain Bears. Maybe your brain. Well, here's something interesting about the human brain. Here's something interesting about the human brain then. You don't read. You don't read. Did you know that? You don't read. You learn to read, but you don't read. So let me explain to you. Let me explain to you how you don't read. Ready? We're going to do an experiment. Ready? 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 I'm going to want you to read something for me. Ready? What does that say? What does that say? Huh? Okay, you're done. What did it say? Look at it. Tell me what it said. Somebody type it. As soon as you know what it said, type it. Quickly, quickly, quickly. We're doing an experiment. Type it, type it. What did it say? What flavor? One more time. Ready? Go. What flavor? What flavor? What flavor? Ready? 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 Tell me what flavor. Tell me what flavor it was. Catnip flavored catsup. Hold on, I'm explaining how this works. It's the human brain. It's great. It's a magic. It's magic, magic. I can go 2 routes with this one. They can change the name of a product. Or, here, the point is, though, is this is cherry limeade. This is cherry limeade. Ready? Read it one more time. Now do you see that it's cherry limeade? Okay? You didn't read it. You didn't read it. You looked at it. Your brain recognized the letters and told you what it was. Same with Febreze. Okay? There is no word, B-R-E-Z-E. Your brain doesn't recognize that word. Okay, cherry flavored limeade. Thank you, Joe. Joe, you did not read that. You saw it. Your brain recognized the letters. You saw it. Your brain recognized the letters and then thus interpreted to you. Okay, so you don't read. You don't actually read. Your brain fills in for you. It's just like why I can write you a sentence, take out some of the words, and the words will still be there in your mind because your brain will fill in it for you. So the word breeze, B-R-E-Z-E, doesn't exist. Your brain added the other E. It's the same thing with the Berenstain Bears. Now, back to Forrest Gump, though. I want to get on this one. I want to finish this one. Here's why. Forrest Gump, there's 2 lines in the movie. There's 2 different lines in the movie. First, he said life was like a box of chocolates. Later in the movie, you'll hear his mama say, Mama, what's wrong? He's on the boat eating. His mama's sick. He jumps over the boat. He swims to her. What's wrong, Mama? I'm sick, Forrest. And she basically goes, oh, Forrest, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Good, great. So she is saying at that time in the movie when Forrest jumped off his boat and swam to his mama, she said life is like a box of chocolates. She's using present tense participle. Present tense participle. Now, when Forrest at the beginning of the movie is sitting on the bench, you must recognize that he is telling a story. And from the perspective of the time of the story being told, this time where his mama, he's talking to his mama, is actually the beginning of the movie, him talking to his mama. That time event actually took place here, past. So when Forrest is telling the story on the bench when we first meet him, and he says, Mama always said, Mama's already dead at this point. So the correct English would be, how do you pronounce Febreze from Febreze? When Forrest announces that Mama always said life was, he's speaking in the past tense from his mother's perspective. Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates because his mother is dead now. His English and his verbiage would change. His way he would speak about his mother would change. It's English. It's just correct English. But because people aren't used to hearing correct English, because the English language has been bastardized by so many people tearing it apart, there's no appreciation for words anymore. No appreciation for words anymore. Forrest Gump at the beginning of the movie said, Mama always said, life was like a box of chocolate. Life. His mother's life is over. Therefore, it was past tense. When you're hearing about him telling the story and you're observing it in real time, what would be the time of him saying it? Of course, his mother would say, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. The movie Crocodile Dundee. I can't believe people screwed that up. Here is where they used incorrect English on purpose, and people remember it correctly. What the hell? Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife. That's a knife. That's the correct line. He said it incorrectly on purpose because he's Australian. Because it was Australian. That's not a knife. That's a knife. All right. Kit Kat has no dash. I never remembered Kit Kat having a dash. It was always just a Kit Kat. It was always just Kit Kat. And Ford F has a pigtail. Well, they might have added it. Who knows? Maybe they didn't. Maybe you met somebody who modified. Maybe people did things. I don't know. That's irrelevant. People remember things differently. Point is, though, is that I remember the movie. I guess I say people remember things differently. I've never seen one Mandela effect that I didn't remember the correct way. Well, now here's where that could get into something interesting. The packaging could be something different than what. Let me see something here. Yeah, I never remembered it with the dash. Yeah, it was always a big K, two big Ks separating it. I never remember there being a dash in Kit Kat. I will admit the Berenstein Bears one got me. I did admit that I thought it was Berenstein, but it's Berenstein. That's a pronunciation thing. That's all can be explained away with pronunciation. Yeah, well, it's not that kids have we have selective memories. Sorry about that. The brain fills in a lot of holes for you. Okay? So you don't I don't remember Kit Kats having a dash. I never remember Kit Kats having a dash. It's probably because people used to associate the stick with a dash. Kit Kat, break me off the stick, dash, and they put it in there themselves, and it's just kind of the brain tricked them. Your brain is a tricky thing. And I say this, and I'm not going to say this to be an arrogant. I'm not going to say this to be an arrogant. So I want to put this out there, just so we're not being arrogant, because I'm not trying to be. All right, just I'm going to say it like this. I have a genius IQ level. Okay, I know I do. Well, it's 2 points short of genius IQ. Genius IQ level is 142. I'm a 140. I tested at a 140 when I was very, very young. All right. And that doesn't mean I'm smarter than you. It's all IQ means is it's the way you comprehend, how much you comprehend. Okay. So with I comprehend and I remember a lot of things, very detailed, a lot of things. And I'm seeing that basically what it is people who just don't remember. I don't know home and bargains, so I don't remember. They may have had an N. Did you ever think that maybe it was home and bargains? And then you guys just added the and in for yourself because everyone just started saying home and bargain? That's society that's trying tricks on you. So I have a very strong memory because of a high IQ. Again, that doesn't mean I'm smarter. Just means I comprehend things well. That's all. People with high IQs they don't mean they're smarter than you. They just comprehend well. Just because you're not a genius, you can still do very well in this life because you can still have you'll comprehend things. It just may take you a little longer. That's why Forrest Gump did so well in life. He had low comprehension, but once he got a grasp on what he was doing, he was great at it. But his low comprehension was able to keep things simple for himself. And that might have been greater. He may have done better. The point is, though, is that I remember things very clearly and very well. I watch things obsessively, and I memorize things line for line. This is how I can do movie lines. I could quote you the entire movie of Grandma's Boy probably right now. I remember movie lines to a T. I remember sayings to a T. So when they say Crocodile Dundee says, the Mandela effect idea goes that that's not a knife. This is a knife. That's not what he said. He specifically said, that's not a knife. That's a knife. The Mandela effect, people will have you say it's the other way. Incorrect English is replaced in the brain by correct English. Funny enough, they give you correct English with an accent, and people correct it to. They give us incorrect English with an accent, and people correct it to correct an accent correct. It's just the Mandela effect is silly. This is people on the internet who had no better time than themselves. It'd be interesting that if the Mandela effect was real, how come it's not affecting anything prior to? Why is it only affecting movies and books? How come it's not affecting real world situations? Why aren't we noticing? Why aren't we noticing like I don't know? Why isn't Hitler alive? Someone would have done that by now. Exactly. But what he was holding was a knife, right? And in a condescending way of speaking, when you would say to somebody, that's not a joint, that's a joint. That's how I would talk to somebody. That's how specifically, and they put an American twist. You guys have to remember American culture here is being at work. They put an American twist onto an Australian accent on a line. That's not a V8. That's a V8. And I mean engine, not the drink. It is a way of saying things to insinuate. The writers did that intentionally. I'm not sure of the exact definition of a meme. I just thought it was a silly picture with words. Like it was a lion and lamb, not a wolf and a lamb. The lion lays down with the lamb. Is it, you mean from the Bible, where the lion will lay with the lamb? Is that what we're talking? Is that what you mean? Because I've always heard it as a lion will lay with the lamb. The way I always remembered it was that my birthday is at the end of March. March comes in like a lion, out like a lamb. Well, that's just someone changing it. It was never. Now it's a wolf. That's just someone changing it. That's just probably the new international version. In fact, that's the most stupid thing I would ever say, because the habitats of wolves would never coincide with the habitats of lambs. But if I was a 2,000-year-ago sheep farmer in the Middle East, maybe like Africa, Egypt, or something like that, near the savannas, yeah, lions probably could threaten my herds. So it makes sense that it would be a lion and a lamb. There's no wolves in Africa. Yeah, it doesn't mean the same thing. Somebody just changed that. It was always that the lamb will lay with the lion. Unless it was just said that way and the Bible didn't say that, and preachers started saying it, the lion. Because I do remember the lion being said, but I didn't actually read it for myself. There's something else. Maybe you were just told it and accepted it, and then you never checked on it. See, they're modernizing it. They're trying to bring it up, and I don't like that. That's how you know it's not legit. If it was the ultimate word of God, hell, I'll say this: the Quran has never changed. The Quran has never changed. Right? Beam me up, Scotty was never said in Star Trek. Remember the movie Guys and Dolls? Come up and see me sometime, big boy. Never said. Never said. It was never said. Oh, here's one. Easy, good one. How about this? Hello, Clarice. That was never said. Hello, you remember in Silence of the Lamb? Hello, Clarice. Never said in the movie. Never said. Play it again, Sam? Never said. The actual line in the movie is "Good evening, Clarice." He actually says "Good evening," not "Hello, Clarice." But people just want to get lazy, so they just went to "Hello, Clarice," and then that got perpetrated. Everyone started "Hello, hello, hello, hello," and before you knew it, there was no "Good evening, Clarice." And that went away. See, all these famous lines in movies that never existed. It's a misinterpretation of the brain. I think what it is because here's what's happening. I think the reason we have more mental problems in this day and age than ever before is because the parts of the brain that used to be working. No. That's a problem right there, Evil. Hold on 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. Let me correct that one for you. We are no longer, we are the champions, my friend. I know what you're talking about. Aha. That one is so easy to answer. Okay. So we are the champions. That would be the end of the song. When he was doing a live concert, it was Queen doing a live concert. He added in "of the world." And from that was the most well-known and well-played version of the song that people heard. It was that was never in the original song. It was only that concert that was played, and people heard that one, and that was the version that kept going. But if you listen to the actual version, there was never "of the world," was never in it. Never in it. He added that by himself at a specific concert, and people liked it, and it stuck, and it became very memorable that way. But that was added, so no. I saw the thing. Yeah, you can Google that one. That one was the easiest one Googleable ever. I believe it was. I want to say what his name. Yeah, that was just a concert. Same thing. All right, here you go. Ozzy biting the head off a bat. Have you ever actually heard the story of what really happened with that? How it really took place? Because it's two different stories that got blended into one. Kind of like Jesus. All right, so. Sure, what? I have not, but it's possible. Okay, so hold on, what was I saying? Damn it, I forgot. Someone remind me, what were we talking? This was a good one. Damn it, Joe, you threw me off with that. Can I rewind a second and see what I said? No. There's two guys. I was talking something about two different guys, and they blended. Oh, Ozzy. Okay. So Ozzy with the biting the head off a bat thing. Here's what really happened with that. And people don't know this. There were two incidents. Thank you, Coaster World. Thank you. The bat thing. Thank you. Okay, so Ozzy Osbourne's at his concert doing his Ozzy thing. Sharon, I don't want to do the concert, Sharon. So Ozzy's at his concert. He's doing his concert thing, right? Somebody took a fake rubber bat and threw it on stage at Ozzy. Ozzy, being the Prince of Darkness, decided to pick up the bat. It was a rubber bat, and he bit the head off of it, okay? Ripped the head off of it. In the process, he bit his lip. And he cut his lip wide open doing it. It had blood coming down his mouth. It looked like he bit the head off a live bat. Okay, everybody in the crowd loved this. Ozzy, bit a bat. Okay, so another concert comes around. Somebody who had saw Ozzy bite the head off a rubber bat thought that Ozzy had bit the head off a real bat. So this time, somebody in the audience came and took a real bat and threw it on stage for Ozzy. Ozzy, seeing it, thinking the same thing as last time, picks it up and bites the head off of it. Then realizes it's a real bat and had to go get rabies shots because of that. And that was the incident that happened. And I do believe there was a There was an incident where they wanted him to bite the head off of a pigeon, and he said no, and then that's how the whole thing got explained. Was they wanted, I think it was a magazine wanted him to do a timesheet of biting the head off of a pigeon, and he said no, and then the whole story came out. But that's what really happened. That's what really happened. Do you really think Ozzy is this dark, evil guy? No. He's a guy who figured out the first rule of things is if you want to be famous, figure out something that parents hate and kids will love it. He did bite it off. Oh, so it was the bird? He did do the bird video? I wasn't sure if he did or didn't. But that was wholly based on the whole bat thing. I was almost sure he did do the head of the pigeon thing. I thought he did. But yeah, it was based on, the whole thing was based on a rubber bat the first time and then a real bat mistaken for a rubber bat the second time. That's the Ozzy thing. But everybody still thinks that Ozzy bit the head off a live bat. He did out of a mistake, but nobody remembers the rubber bat incident because it wasn't as memorable as the bat incident. He was a lot of drugs. That's for sure. That's for sure. He did do a lot of drugs. Point is, though, is that people remember things really odd. And I think that the reason people have more mental health issues these days is because that parts of the brain that are supposed to be used, we don't use anymore. And the brain begins to like wonder what to do with it. It doesn't know. Like, for instance, you don't have to worry about a lion chasing you anymore. You don't have to worry about, there are people in the world who still worry about food, but food production is different. You no longer have to worry about producing your own food. You worry about buying your own food, but you don't worry about producing food. You don't have to plan for food. We don't have to change our eating habits because it's winter, because it's fall, because it's summer. Our diets don't have to change with the season. And I think a lot of this is contributing to it. Like, we're putting other parts of the brain to work and we're overworking them and we're not stimulating enough of our survival instincts. This is why, like, sports and survival games and paintball, anything that has an aggressive behavior is good. It's because that part of the brain needs to be exercised. And when it's not, I think this is what causes a lot of problems. What's my view on the war on terror? I wrote a song about it. It's possible, I'm sure. Who knows? My take on the war on terror. It is the war that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. The Taliban started it not knowing what it was, but we'll continue fighting it forever just because this is the war that never ends. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. The Taliban started it not knowing what it was, so on and so forth. So I just adapted the Lamb Chop song to do it. What do I think about the war on terrorism? For me personally, I think it was one of the greatest things that ever happened. Set me up for life. Is it feasible? No. I think we should just get out of the Middle East and let Middle Easterners. We should. I'm happy with backing Israel since I am Jewish. I'm gonna always back the state of Israel. That's my people, and plus I can go there anytime I want. So yes, I would be backing. My mom's Canadian. My dad is Jewish. So I'm a Canadian Jew, 50% Jew. It's enough to be able to move to Israel, though, as a Jewish citizen, be a citizen of Israel. But I think that we should just we need to stop meddling. I don't think we need to deal with that. We have the Saudis and we have the Israelis. That should be our link to the Middle East, and they should deal with Middle Easterners. Middle Easterners should deal with Middle Easterners, the same as we shouldn't interfere with other cultures. What they do is what they do. It may not look right to us. I did go to Iraq and Afghanistan. I've met some great people there. I have friends here in the United States from Iraq now that have moved here that were Iraqis. And let me tell you, they are happy that all of this went down. That's the way I justify my being in Iraq, is that my friend Hazim and his family are now safe. So that's good enough for me. That's the only way I can rationalize that one. Afghanistan, we were invited into Afghanistan as a coalition, so I feel no pity in that whatsoever, because for those who don't know, America did not kick off the war in Afghanistan. That was actually Canada. Go figure. And it was a coalition of forces that were invited into Afghanistan by the Afghan government, which was the ANA, Afghan National Army. We worked directly with them. Great people. Scary as hell. Glad we didn't have to fight them. They were some scary mo's, but we were all part of the ISAF, which was the International Security Assistance Force. So when I was in Afghanistan, I was on a base with probably 12 other armies from different countries. And it was great to get to meet everybody. The Germans were amazingly wonderful, great hosts. We were on their base. The Swedes were nice. The Swedes actually invited us to a barbecue. We had a great time with the Swedes. If you want to see my mandatory fun in Afghanistan, that was at the barbecue. We were told, you're going to go, we're going to have fun. We've been invited to a barbecue. Everyone's required to go. We used to call it mandatory fun. Which was great. They did a great job. We had volleyball. We played some soccer with them. We hacky sack going on, frisbee. Great time. Oh, well. See though, here's something interesting. Are you ready for this one? I came up with my own theory on this. Oh, you're gonna like this one. This is a good one. This is a good one there, Evil. Okay, I heard a lot about the Jews, that they started the world wars and will start the third world war. Okay, anti-Jewish, that's fine. I didn't assume you were. You were just asking a question. And this has always been very conflicting. Very conflicting for me. Okay, ready? You ready for this one? This is good. All right, so there are those out there who say the Jews, the evil Jews, right? They control the banks. First off, if this was true, I'm very disappointed because I didn't get the memo, and I'm down. I'm down to control the world and take everything and be in charge. I'm down. But nobody told me. Nobody gave me my memo. I missed the meeting. So they're definitely. 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. So the Jews are supposed to control the bank and be these evil people, right? And
Okay.
okay. There we go. I fixed it. So, all right, we got all these evil people, evil Jews running the banks, taking over the world and everything like that. If people truly think that, then what you must also rationalize is that Hitler had the right idea and that he was doing something noble. Now, Hitler was quoted saying, if we fail at this endeavor, the world will suffer forever. Was he meaning that if America was allowed to back the Jews and the Jews to make their state, then they would be the evil superpower of the world, unbeknownst to everybody, using the shadow puppet state of the United States to execute its master plot? That's what you have to believe that the Jews are ruling the banks right now and running the world. Are they in charge of them? Sure. The Rothsteins, Rothschild. Yeah, they own some bank control, but that doesn't control anything. It only works as long as we're willing to accept it. That's how that works. If we stopped accepting their currency, that would be that. If we faulted to the Federal Reserve, what would they really do? What would they really do? What if we told the Federal Reserve we're rejecting? I think America needs a new currency. I think we should replace the dollar with a new currency. Don't let the Federal Reserve own the currency to it, and then just fault on the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve would go bankrupt if we faulted on them, and that would be that. What would they do? Who would they get to do anything? Nothing. Nobody. If we just said we're not going to pay the Federal Reserve, period, what would they do? Wells Fargo, North Korea, Cuba, and I believe Syria. Maybe we need to replace those old Jews with a new Jew. A new Jew who doesn't care about these things. Maybe I should infiltrate them. Maybe, because I'm Jewish, my Jewish counterparts got me to start this YouTube channel to throw the mind off of people who would watch. Maybe. I'm like the Jew anti-Jew. I'm not anti-Jewish. I love being a Jew. I think it's one of the coolest races out there. Goyams. We call you Goyams. I don't, because I think it's a disrespectful word. And if you're a girl, you're a shiksa. Schmidrik Schmuck Goyams. Yeah, you're a Goyam. That's Yiddish. More Yiddish than anything. I do speak a little Yiddish, but it's just broken. But yeah, you Goyam. Not a Jew. I don't go to temple or anything like that, and I love bacon cheeseburgers. And now here's the thing about it. Jews are not allowed to eat bacon, but you also would not be allowed to eat a cheeseburger. You could have a hamburger, but you couldn't have a cheeseburger. And what's the definition? Not a Jew. Not Jewish. You're a goyim. You're not a Jew. I didn't see. That's just the thing. I don't see these as difficult. I really don't do this on my channel. I really, really don't. I'm probably going to get a strike or two against me. But I don't do these things to piss people off. I'm just telling you what it is. Just telling you how it is. Laying it out flat. You guys can debate the details if you want, but I'm putting the premises out there. And I appreciate it, Joe. I mean, I guess these are for some people, these are difficult topics to cover. And I do want to say this too. I've disagreed with all of you on something so far. All of you. But I've done it respectfully. You stayed respectful. What's the problem? Why can't everybody do this? Oh yeah, I voted for Donald Trump too, just so you know. But I still respect. I didn't vote for Obama, but I respected him as president. He was and I was in the military at the time. He was my commander in chief. Wasn't happy with it, but we don't respect the man. We respect the position because that's what you do. If nothing more, respect the position, not the man. And that's what I did. I didn't like Obama as a president, but he is the president. He was my commander in chief. And I respect that position. Always. I will always respect that position. And that's the first thing you should do is you don't have to like the person, the policies, but you must respect the position. Yes, everyone is entitled to their opinion, even if their opinion is wrong. Even if their opinion is wrong. I said that once to a kid. I was playing online and he said something about his opinion. I was like, you could have your opinion on that, man, but it is wrong. And he freaked out with the idea of me telling him that his opinion was wrong. You can't tell me my opinion is wrong? Sure I can. You can have the wrong opinion. Salute the rank, not the man. Thank you. I believe that was Band of Brothers. Was that not Band of Brothers? We salute the rank, not the man. Absolutely. We respect the position, not the man. That's what we're saluting, is the position. And it's a highly held and respectable position. Whether you're a disrespectful person and you're in that position, it is your job to be respectful. As the person in that position, you too must also respect the position. This is why when I was in the military, I was higher ranking than other people, although I wasn't at presidential level, but I still treated those beneath me. I took my position very, very serious. I was a leader. I was supposed to know the job better than everybody else, and I was expected to have more patience, more time, help, and learn. I was supposed to teach the man below me and learn the job from the man above me. And if everybody did that, if we all did that together, that's the simplest thing right there is, first off, I'm going to tell you guys something interesting. Make your bed every day. Just start off by making your bed every day. It's a good way to start the day. But secondly, if we all taught our jobs or taught things to the people below us, and we learned from the people above us, old age, position, whatever, the world would be a much better place. Because you know what would be going on? There'd be a lot of teaching going on. And when teaching goes on, that's where growth happens. You have to learn. You must expand your mind. It was a great generation of men. An amazing generation of men who went up against unfathomable odds on all ends. I sometimes like to think, though, about this, though. You watch Saving Private Ryan and everything, and the men getting nervous on the boats, the transports, as they're coming to shore, and they're getting sick and they're vomiting, and this armada is moving towards, and men are nervous and very upset. Did you ever stop, though, to take a moment to think, though, that the bunkers with the machine guns on the hill, that there might have been another young man up on that hill who's looking at the biggest armada ever assembled in his world of the history floating towards him? Do you not think that he too was feeling upset and sick in his stomach? Oh my God, this is what I'm about to face. Oh my God. Did you ever think about him too? No, because that's an evil German. As a soldier, I realized he was just another soldier doing his job. It's amazing. You don't think about that young German soldier sitting in that nest, probably sick to his stomach, thinking, oh my God, I'm probably going to be dead. Look at this. How can we stop this? But on the other end, there's Americans sailing toward this huge wall of Berlin's wall, not the Berlin Wall. Oh my God. What did they call it? The sea wall that Hitler had set up. And they're sailing towards that thinking, oh my God, we have to break through that. There's two people, two human beings sitting on opposite sides of each other thinking, oh my God, how am I going to survive this? But you never think about the other guy. I'm Jewish, and I think about the German, that poor German guy. Yep. The Atlantic Wall. Thank you. I don't know. I don't mean to say the Berlin Wall, the German Wall, the Atlantic Wall. Well, see, though, here's the thing, though. You said, Joe says, I can see you giving some young brave wombats the Braveheart speech before running them into combat. That's the difference, Joe. That's the difference between a leader. I wouldn't be running them into combat. I don't know, unless you mean I would be the first to go. I don't think a command, you can't command from the rear. Some of us are German Jews. That's fine. Yeah, I think the number one Jew. Here's something people don't realize too. Albert Einstein was. Sorry, we got disconnected for a second there. Albert Einstein, German Jew. Yeah, I think I got what you meant. I got what you meant now, Joe. Yeah, I would be the first to run in. I would be the first to run in, strategize what we're going to do. I'm bringing you home. You're not going to go out like this. Sacrifice. People aren't out like this. Sacrifice. People aren't willing to sacrifice anymore, and I think that's a big key. That's key to life, is sacrifice. And remember, you can never win big if you don't gamble big. And I know that sounds terrible to say, but it is the truth. It is the truth. You got to roll the dice sometimes. Don't be afraid to not play it safe. It's where we move outside of the bounds of safety is where true discovery is made. Yeah. Yeah. This has been a fun 2 hours. Interesting times, though. Interesting. Oh, what can we talk about? Again, though, if someone's watching this at a later time and you're like, what is this idiot rambling on about? Yeah, go easy on me. Don't be too harsh. Don't take everything too offensive. Don't read into everything. And don't think that everything I said. Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, I don't think he was a fraud. Nikola Tesla was, I think you mean Thomas Edison was the fraud. He was the one who frauded Nikola Tesla. Albert Einstein invented the nuke. He essentially came up with the formula and everything for the nuke. So he wasn't a fraud. He frauded anybody. His math equations still hold up today. I believe one of his recent theories was just proven through string theory. It verified one of his math equations from like the 20s. So I would say, if anything, far from it, Einstein was not a fraud. He definitely explored different stuff. I would definitely say Thomas Edison was more of the fraud than Nikola Tesla. And that's who's more comparable. Thomas Edison to Nikola Tesla. Thomas Edison very much was a huge thief and a liar. And people praise him too much. Nikola Tesla should have been. Now, here's something interesting, though. I wanted to see if I could figure out free energy. So one day, just for fun, I drew a circuit that I am sure would work. Perfect. That sounds like he's praising Tesla. He sounds like he was well. Tesla was pretty impressive. I believe it was Tesla who won the contract for the 1989 World's Fair in Chicago, where he first demonstrated his AC current and was able to get the contract to do the lighting for the fair, and it beat out over Edison's DC power. Yeah, so that was interesting. Good morning, Tricky World. It's tricky. Anyway, Yeah. Anyway, so I was drawing up a circuit. I wanted to see if I could come up with a free energy. And I drew up what I thought would work for a circuit that should produce free energy and or maybe anti-gravity. I don't know. But I erased it because I was done with it. Because I did it. But then, I don't know. Now, on paper, it looked good. And interesting enough, I was watching about after I had done that, probably like 3 months later, I was watching an interview with Bob Lazar. For those who don't know who Bob Lazar is, you should go check that out. Bob Lazar is a pretty interesting guy. And he was describing the circuitry that he worked on at Area 51 and the S4 in the Groom Lake project. And the only thing I got wrong is I had put my my mixture into high pressure, and he said it needed to be in a vacuum, which I guess I could see that working better. But I said high pressure, he said vacuum. Maybe it was backwards. Maybe I said it under a vacuum and he said it under high pressure. Either way, I got it backwards. And he was a person who was a self-described whistleblower from working on alien technology. And basically the engine I had come up with, or the generator I had come up with, was almost the exact same as he described, except that mine, I got it wrong from what he said. I got it backwards. I put mine under pressure or vacuum, and he said it needed to be the opposite of whatever I was. It's just a circuit I drew up, but would it work? I don't know. I remember kind of what I did, how I designed it, kind of. I just thought it was interesting that my design was very close to what Bob Lazar had said 3 months later after I'd seen it. And I was just like, wow, maybe I'm onto something. Explain rockets working in a vacuum. Let's see. Well, propulsion in a vacuum is no different. Do remember with rocket fuel and stuff like that, they're generally using a liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen mix. So it's the gases expelling out the back is the propulsion. Pressure is just pushing against it. It's coming out faster than it can get, than it's in. No, that works just fine if you really, really think about it. A vacuum, in a total vacuum, got to remember it's not pulling. It just means that there is no, it's in a vacuum. It's at negative pressure. So applying pressure in a vacuum amidst the absence of gravity, you got to, without the lower gravity. No, that works just fine. It's no different than, as long as I release the gases and then ignite, and the oxygen's in a liquid state, so there's oxygen to burn, because that's why they have to bring the oxygen, is so that it has its own oxygen source to burn, because that's why they have to bring the oxygen, is so that it has its own oxygen source to burn. And when you mix the two and ignite, it creates ignition, fire. Fire expands. The rapid expansion is what gives you your propulsion. What's it pushed against? The back of the back of the vehicle. The back of the vehicle is what pushes against. It pushes against. You're pushing against the pull of gravity towards the nearest body. You're pushing against the gravity. You're still in the curve. Because remember, from here to the moon is still within the Earth's gravity. So you're pushing against the gravity, the pull of gravity. That's what you're pushing against. That's what you're pushing off. Is Earth's. See, that's what it is. Aha, we got it. It is gravity. It is gravity. You're pushing against gravity the whole time. You're not pushing against the Earth to get away from the Earth. You're pushing away from the Earth's gravity. And when you accelerate and keep going, you are still pushing against the Earth's gravity. You're pushing against gravity, which is there's microgravity everywhere. And your speed could be relative. I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just putting it out there. Your speed could be relative to the amount of gravity. We only see the speed of light because we are so close to Earth's gravity. If we could get out beyond the pull of gravity, I think you can go faster. That has to do with aerodynamics, drag, pull, lift, and thrust. You've got thrust. We do have to add thrust in there. Lift, drag, pull, and thrust. But yes, and rotation, So yes, you're pushing against gravity. Gravity is trying to pull you down. We are propelling against it, pushing against gravity. It's the same way a gravitron works when you go to the fair and it throws you up against the side. When you're pushing, what's pushing you back? Gravity. And it feels like something physically is holding you back, right? It's the centrifugal force simulating increased gravity. What's pushing you against is the centrifugal force, but it's simulating artificial gravity. That is what's, it's like Vegeta, he's training in the gravity. Whenever I saw that, I would think the only way that would work is if it was spinning really fast and he didn't realize it. Then yes, he would be experiencing that much time. Maybe like the space machine was in a bunch of those loops, and if you could get those spinning enough centrifugal force to throw you out from the center point, but you can find a center point centered. You could then, I guess, stand there and fight against different strengths of gravity, I guess. So maybe that's how in Dragon Ball Z Vegeta was doing that. I don't know. Well, that's because you're moving through an atmosphere of air. You're moving through air, Coaster. I have put a fan in a vacuum with paper showing air is circulating, but as soon as I add one vacuum, there is no movement of the paper. Okay, then the way we need to do the experiment more correctly then, yes, Vegeta is still the best. The experiment would be more accurate than if we could put a CO2 canister, little CO2 tank in that same vacuum, put the paper over it, and then I forget what it's called, an accelerometer. We would need then to put an accelerometer. Okay, even better. We don't even need the piece of paper. Let's take a bottle. We put it in a vacuum. We put an accelerometer on this end, and we put a CO2 cartridge with a mechanism to pierce the cartridge with the nozzle facing that way. We put a vacuum on the bottle, and then you hit the switch to expand the gases, and then see if we can get any. Maybe it's a forceometer. I forget the name of it. It sees how much force is being applied. Oh, good morning. Good morning, the big red bear. And then we can measure how much force is applied to the accelerometer. And from that, we can get a thing if there's any thrust. If there's no vacuum for it to push against, and I guess you could say, well, it's hitting against the back of the bottle. We could get a bottle big enough or a tube long enough that just that alone shouldn't cause anything. But I think the thrust comes from is that you're trying to expand a gas faster than it can come out. So we're putting out this much gas in liquid form, but in a gas tank, it's actually this much. And when it hits the vacuum, it expands rapidly, and the rapid expansion is where you get your thrust. See, it pops, and that's where you get your pushing. And it pushes in both directions, which is why rockets are very inefficient, just like a fireplace. A fireplace is only 10% efficient. So rockets would be very inefficient because you're losing thrust this way and this way. And it's the rapid expansion of the gas, the energy going from liquid to solid, liquid to gas is an expansion of energy and space and matter in space, thus pushing out. It's just like thunder. Thunder isn't a real sound. Thunder is the sound of when the electricity of the bolt comes through the air, it actually creates a vacuum. It actually creates a vacuum, and all the air is forced out of the space because of the electrons. And the thunder is actually the sound of the air molecules slamming back together. That's what thunder is. So we know electrons can move freely, and protons can still move freely and transfer to each other, because a nuclear blast would still work in space. So if electrons and protons can still move in a vacuum, which is physical matter, there's no reason to say that a rocket ship couldn't. Thunder is two clouds going through each other. That's funny. I like that. Absolutely. You would need the right angle and the right amount of thrust. Absolutely, you could break orbit. In fact, that's why you would need the right angle. If you ever notice when they launch the shuttles or whatever, the ship is upright. It goes up and then it curves over because it has to get the right speed, acceleration, and then it has to find the right angle to break free of Earth's orbit. Anywhere you go in space, you don't make a straight line in space. There is no straight lines in space. Everything is a circle. Everything is a circle in space. Everything. So when you want to leave Earth, you don't leave Earth straight up. Like where's a ball? I need a ball. There's a ball. When you leave Earth, you come up, and then you curve, and then you orbit. And then it goes around, and then you'll get enough speed where you'll break the orbit, and then you'll make a big circle all the way to the moon, catch the moon. Thunder. It has to curve because of the dome. Yeah, the dome. I like the dome theory. That's funny. It's just fake. It's all an illusion. No, I'm gonna tell you this though. With the moon landing, we didn't go to the moon in 1969 with Neil Armstrong and everything like that. Or they did, and the footage was so corrupted, but they needed something to show. The point is though, is the footage we were shown was not real, but the happenings were. Either A, we didn't go in 1969 and it was fake, and we went later on, but the idea was to beat the Russians there and bankrupt them through whatever, get them to spend more on their program so that they weren't able to waste money on a program. Either we got there at a later time, like in the 70s, but we were able to complete it. JFK said he wanted it by this decade. So they faked that, but they were able to get there. Or they did go there. They got there. The footage was ruined. If you look at the camera, it would have been shielded. The footage was probably ruined, or some was good and some was bad. So they reshot some of it. They had a studio ready to go with pre-recorded stuff of what they thought it would be should it not work. They still needed to show proof of it. So I think that's what happened. I'm not going to watch the Conor McGregor fight live. I will catch the highlights. I will catch the highlights later, but go McGregor. I have seen Space Odyssey 2001. Actually, Stanley Kubrick, one of his greater films. I think it was Stanley Kubrick who also directed The Shining, and he worked a lot of stuff into space with that one, with the Apollo moon landing. I think he was the director who was hired to set up those films. There's a lot of indication, too. What is that song? It goes, it's Red Hot Chili Peppers. Space out there may be the final frontation, but it's filmed in a Hollywood basement. Californication, that's the name of the song. They talked about space may be the final frontier, but it's filmed in a Hollywood basement. So what I think he was talking was, look, they filmed something. Stanley Kubrick, definitely. Oh, we know that. We know that the video footage presented to us now is fake. It's without a doubt. The point is, though, is that it didn't say we did go to the moon, and you can still prove that today. You'd have to have too many scientists willing to lie, because if you didn't know, on the moon they placed rays that had to be positioned and angled oh so right. It was part of the time they spent on the moon. So they put these rays, and what you can do now is, if you'd like, you can go to an observatory and they can fire a laser at the moon at a very specific coordinates, that this reflected ray that you couldn't just land and open up. It needed to be fine tweaked. It's one of the experiments they set up on the moon. And basically it gives us our distance to the moon. They put up a mirror. Yes. We eventually put a mirror on the moon. Yes. They put several reflective discs. There's actually 3. There were 5, but 2 were lost. Something covered them. They don't know what. Something happened to them, but 3 of the 5 are still responding, or still getting clear signal. And that's how we get an accurate distance from here to the moon, is they bounce the laser off, and then because we know the relative speed of light, you can measure the time it takes for the laser to be fired, bounce back, and then the signal re-received, and that gives us our distance. So we know that we landed on the moon. I don't think we landed on the moon when we said we did. Or again, I don't know if weightless experience. I don't know. What about the guy in the balloon who did that balloon jump? Anyone see that? What about that one? Was that faked? Here's something interesting then. If we're under a dome, if we're under this dome and you can't get out and it's weightlessness, shouldn't it get hotter as you go up? Shouldn't you get hotter as you go up? If it's a flat earth or a dome, it would be warmer as you got closer to the heat source, would it not? Why not? Heat rises. For it to be 90 degrees down here, unless you're going up, as you get closer to the heat source, you're going to get hotter, unless there's a vacuum in between the two. Right, but on a flat earth dome model, what's outside the dome? That was a different guy. He jumped from the plane. It was the Red Bull guy. He jumped from the plane without a parachute and landed in the net. We're talking about the guy who went up in the high altitude balloon, and he went to, like, I believe it was the ionosphere, and he jumped from the ionosphere. The moon radiates cold. Well, here's the thing for you. Cold doesn't exist. It's just a word we made up. There's no such thing as cold. Cold doesn't exist. Right. If the heat is outside the dome, as you got closer to the heat source, okay, well, that makes sense. But you would still be having a heat source that was close. Hello, Atlantis Paranormal. But you would still be getting closer to the heat source. So you're saying that because there's no air. Well, what's beyond the dome that suspends the heat source? You see what I'm saying? No, cold doesn't exist. There is no such thing as cold. It's a man-made term. It doesn't exist. You can't measure cold. You can measure actually the correct terminology would be is it's not hot out, or it's not, I'm not hot. There's no such thing as cold. It's a man-made term. Just like pull. There's no such thing as pull. There's only push. Man's not hot. Yep, there you go. So if you go put a sweater on, someone say, "Are you not hot?" Yeah, I'm very not hot. It's super not hot in here. That's actually the more correct way of it. It's super not warm. That would be a more correct way of describing it. But because we didn't want to say things like that, someone invented the word cold to save on saying not hot. That's true. That's a fact. Because you can't measure cold. You can measure heat and a lack of it. That's all we can measure. A lack of heat and heat. No way to measure cold. Bam. Mind blown, too, when I said there's no such thing as pull. There's only push. That's true, too. For instance, I'm holding this lighter, and I want to pull it with a rope. I'm going to tie a rope around it, right? And then I'm going to pull on the rope. But I'm not really pulling on the rope. The action I'm doing is pulling, but what's happening is that my hand is pushing against the rope. The rope is then in turn pushing against the back of the object, and it's being pushed, not pulled. There's no such thing as pull. It's only push. The only thing that pulls is gravity, and it's not actually pulling. It's attracting, so it's different. What I don't get is how the Yanks got the word gas for gasoline. Where is the nitrogen in gas? Well, I guess you could also say nitrogen is nitrous oxides, which is what's in gasoline. So the nitrous oxides? Gravity, the magic force. I don't think it's very much gravity. It's that objects of mass tend to attract to each other in a vacuum. Dissecting the English language at 3 a.m. Isn't it fun? It's only 9:30 for me, so we can move on to French next. I'm kidding. I don't speak French. Not very well. Poorly at best. I might be able to get to the bathroom and maybe pay for my food in French. That's about it. Other than that, they could rob me and I wouldn't know. You talk about Brexit. I think that I'll tell you what I think about Brexit. If the British people voted that, it's not up to the politicians to decide what to do other than to implement what the people have said. I don't see how hard that is. Politicians have the easiest job in the world. They shouldn't have to think. All they should have to do is figure out how to implement it, what the people have asked for. That's it. How do we make these people want Brexit? How do we make that happen is the only question they should be asking themselves. How do we do it and get it done? That's it. Get it done and get it done. That's it. That's all you should be doing. You should never have to ask yourself, what do we think about foreign policy? It doesn't matter. What do the people say? Whatever the people say, that's what we do. No, there's no deal. If we said we are out, you're out. It's that'd be that simple. The British people said we don't want to be in this anymore. then it should be up to their body government to say, we are leaving and you guys need to get ready for us to go. And if someone says, oh, well, you need to make a deal with us, I as an American feel very honored to be able to say I would tell that country to go fucking suck a dick. We're doing what we want. Sorry about the language, but that's pretty much the only way you could get to it when someone tries to strong arm you with something like that. A deal from Brexit from the Brits is strong arming them, and nobody should strong arm you. If I don't want to be part of this, you don't get an alimony check for countries. I don't understand. It's politics. What it is corruption. It's always been corruption. And it just needs one person, one or two people who just say, you know what? I'm going to not be the corrupt idiot in this. And that's all you have to do. And of course, there's going to be people who oppose you. And that's the problem where this comes in is because, it's just someone who just needs to just give an F you. It just needs to embrace everything that's bad about themselves, which I would have no problem doing. Embrace what's bad about yourself. Go on stage, flip the whole world off and be like, this is what I'm going to tell the rest of the country if you vote for me and put me in charge. You put me in charge and I will tell the rest of these worlds and these countries that, fuck you, I'm doing what's best for these people because it's best for me. If you put that first foot forward of just, you know what, screw it, dude. Screw it, dude. I'm going to do what's right. I don't care who I piss off. It's okay. That's what you have to do. They're never going to let us leave. I feel so bad for you. That should have been done and over with. That should have been finished easy. They said you guys want out. Who in the hell is controlling this? What interest is it that makes them stay? It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Country voted for something and their politicians are debating on how to make it happen. Shouldn't be how to happen. It should be done, and we can talk about the details later, but it's going to happen. It needs to be a quick and clean break. Even if it's not a clean break, screw it. Let's do it old school. Do it like just quick and dirty, like they did in the old days. The sooner the Band-Aid's ripped off, the sooner it can heal. It's going to hurt, and they just need to make it hurt fast. Just get it over with. And, for some, there might be good business for some, but you know what? That's not what the country voted for. And that's unfortunately what you have to accept is like, look, your business will figure it out. It'll figure out how to work around the new issues, and it'll keep going if it's a good business. If there's good business happening, it'll keep going if it's still there regardless. If it was a false one and you lose it, then there was never a true business happening there anyway. So I think you're good. But you seem like a level-headed cat, so I'm betting that you're going to do just fine when it happens. I'm not familiar with all of y'all's politics, so I can't get in 100% on it. I apologize. I'm just a silly Yank, just a silly American. I don't know much. Just a silly Jewish American getting it done one day at a time. Jewish Canadian American. Jewish Canadian. And technically from my grandparents' side, I'm first-generation immigrant from my mom. My mom immigrated here, so first-generation immigrant on one side. Dad's family got here in the 1900s. Early 1900s, late 1800s, like 1892, I think Dad's side of the family got here. So I'm just a silly American. I don't know much about that. I know that the British people voted for Brexit and it hasn't happened, and that's bullshit. It hasn't happened yet. That I do know. That I do know, good sir. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for everybody who's hanging out, by the way. We have 12 people coming by, 16 thumbs up. We've gone over for as much controversy as we've talked today, and I got a super chat. I've already been demonetized. That happened the second I started this stream. I don't know why. I was instantly demonetized. So for the $2 that were donated in the super chat, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It does mean a lot. And that was from Michael Malloy. What else we got? One of my best friends was a transgender female who voted for Trump. Well, after expressing her views on social media and then was harassed for it. Right? Right? I don't care about trans people. Do what you want. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. If that makes you feel better, do it. Do it. But you can't force me to say things or do things or act a certain way. That you can't do. That's no right. But if it makes you happy, do it. If it in your bubble, if it's in your circle. We've discussed my ideas on how the circle works. This is your circle. This is your circle. You are your circle. And the most important thing in your life should be you. You should be the most important thing in your life. You. Sub me 88 Juan, dude. That's kind of rude just to jump in here and be like, sub me. How about you say hello first, Xbox? What is your name? I can't pronounce that. I'm so sorry. Zan? Come in. How about you say hello first? Hi, how are you doing? Nice to meet you. What's going on? What are we talking about? Hey, I'm looking to get some subs. I understand it says swap, but hey, come in and say hi first. Help us get to know you instead of just go for it. That's how you get to build people, man. You really don't want to just have people clicking your button for no reason. You should want people clicking your button and coming to see you because they know who you are. It's just a little straightforward, but I do realize that the subtitle is Subswap, Conspiracy Series Subswap, and more. So I just come in and be a little more courteous first. It's a better way to build there. Just asking for subswaps, I don't think is a good thing. I'll participate in them, but I don't agree with them. That's the great thing about America. British fella, age 19, tried killing Trump. Okay. Didn't seem like it worked. Maybe if he'd have been 24 and thought his plan out a little better, he might have. Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm going to subscribe to all of you guys. If I know I did evil, he made a funny joke I thought was hilarious, and I had to comment back, and I subscribed on Brad's channel to evil, which I thought was great. It was so funny. He said something that was hilarious, and I was like, and I commented something that went with it, and from there I was like, and I knew this is a cool cat right here. All right, let's let the hair down. There's Jesus. If I'd had my beard still, I would have looked like Jesus for you. I could have had this nice, big, full beard. No. Oh, where's Dr. Evil? Where's Dr. Evil? Do I make you horny, baby? Do I? Randy, baby. Yeah, baby. Oh. See my wrist. Oh, I can't wait till I get to cut this off. I'm not going to lie. This much shampoo and conditioner has been an absolute pain. But God, I have beautiful curls, don't I? You ladies out there, please let me know. Don't you want this volume? I'll tell you what it is. Marry a Jew and your kids can have it. I'm sorry. I make myself laugh at some of the things I say sometimes, too. That's funny. Marry a Jew and your kids can have it. That's great. You know what? I've decided that I want to get a tattoo done right here of my Jew gold. I'm going to get a tattoo of my Jew gold, but I think I'll have some in gold flake. And then I'd like to get it done with gold flake. You got curly thick hair too? Yeah. I'll say this. I'm never going to have to worry about baldness. Never going to have to worry about baldness. Doesn't run on my mom's side of the family. And I've got gorgeous, gorgeous hair. No receding hairline whatsoever. I was in Michael Malloy's stream, and someone said to me, "Oh my God, I loved your hair. What do you use?" I was like, "Oh, I use this product called Jew." Yep, natural curls. I think it's interesting though, is even when my hair dries, you can see the tip of it when it used to be up here and it was really, really curly. It'll stay that way, and then as it gets going longer, it's thinner because the weight finally stretched it out. My dad even said, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is my first time seeing you with hair laying down." Augustus Fleming, how are you, sir? My day was going very well. The horse shampoo, mane and tail. Mane and tail. Yeah, you can use some mane and tail. It gives a really good shine to your hair. I don't like it because it strips a little bit too much of the stuff off my hair that I need. I don't really need that kind of like high intensity. So I feel like Fabio. Then we go slip it forward. And we can go. If I could just get the top hat, we could go with Slash. Little cousin here. I feel like a wrestler. Hogan, as I said before. Oh, sorry, moving it quick here. I feel like the 70s, man. Yeah. It's the 70s. I never experienced the 70s. I wish I could have. The 70s sounded like a great time. I would have loved to have been born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s. Born in like I don't know. It would have been a good time to be a teenager in the 70s. Yeah, born about 1960, 61 would have been a good time. Then you could have grown up in the 70s, and then you could have gotten into the 80s boom of technology. Oh, that would have been great. Of The Undertaker, really? That's awesome. Thanks, man. I do have the deep set eyes going on, like the Cro-Magnon thing. My eyes are like set in there. So it's nice is when I'm outside, people are like, oh, it's so bright. I just squint and I get this natural shading. And I've never had a problem. I've never worn sunglasses. I don't need sunglasses. Never needed them. Just squint. Probably why I've got these lines right here on my head where I've squinted so much over the years. Probably could hold something right there. Almost. Those muscles are almost strong enough to hold something. Oh my goodness. My aunt just sent me a message. Hold on. This is funny. You guys can participate. I don't think that was meant for me because my aunt said, hey, girl. So I don't think that was meant to go to me, or it was, hey, girl. Yep. Yep. Hi, Butterball. There's my other puppy. Good stretch, baby girl. Good stretch. Come here, Butterball. Come here, my butter. There's my butter. Come here, baby. Hey. Hi. Come say hi to everybody. Butter. Come here. There you go. Come here. Come here. Butterball. Butter. It's Peanut and Butter. You guys never met the dogs before. Come here. You met Peanut earlier. This is Butter. Oh, come here, Butter. There's a pretty girl. There's my pretty girl. That's my pretty girl. Hey. She looks like Dobby, doesn't she? Harry Potter must not go back to Hogwarts. Swear it. Okay. Go ahead. What a day, what a day, what a day, what a day. We've had a lot of fun. This has been fun. Again, we can always discuss things, opposing views. It's fine. It's great. Ooh, how pretty. That must be a gorgeous dog. My wife, her mother, did anyone else see that green flash? Was that just me or did anybody else see that? Hold on, I got to watch the replay to see if that just happened or not. I don't know. Hold on one second. Here it comes. Yeah. Oh, you guys see it? You saw the green flash, huh? Yeah. That was the government listening in on us. They're watching. They're always watching. Technically, they are keeping an eye on me, but only for about 3 more years till my security clearance expires, and then they won't monitor me anymore. Oh, that was trippy. We all saw it. The government's listening. They're in on it. They're in on it. So, hey, you FBI agent listening. Hey there. Yeah. Hey, hey. That's something, too. I always jump in streams and people see me, and I always start off with, hey, hey. That's how I like this. So if you ever see me type, hey, hey, just remember that you have to add my voice into it. You have to add, hey, hey. Did I see anything out in Iraq? For instance, what? I saw lots of stuff in Iraq. Played with a lot of toys in Iraq, some really cool pieces of equipment. I had that security clearance, so that afforded me a lot of really interesting job opportunities. UFO. Not in Iraq. In Afghanistan, we saw some really questionable lights. Somebody took a picture of it, and even jokingly, they made a UFO meme out of it. But yeah, we saw something out there. Now, when I was stationed out at Fort Irwin, Evil, I don't claim it to be I guess it was a UFO because I don't know what it was, but I saw something out in the desert. Did we get attacked by any red-haired giants? No, I did not see any red-haired giants while I was out there. There are some people out there with red hair. That's interesting. Phantom soldiers. Never heard of phantom soldiers before. We played with a Ouija board in Iraq. That was weird. That was interesting. That was some interesting stuff. I figured being that close to the old land like that, anything would be great. They have found old red-headed giant skeletons, though. Back in the early 1800s, before World War I, there were a lot of discoveries of tall red-headed skeletons being found out in the Mojave area, out in New Mexico, Arizona areas. So it's not a myth. You can still pull up the old paper reports of them finding 7-foot-tall female skeletons with long red hair. That's not a myth. That's a thing. You're a Bigfoot guy? They're just called Danes. That's fine. Oh, wow. This has been fun. This has been interesting. Definitely a lot of fun. Normally, I do play some Fortnite. I figured we'd take a break and do one of these today. Just don't feel in the mood to play games like that. When I play games, I've been burning out. I got to do different stuff. I got to keep it fresh. Got to keep it popping, locking, different, here, there. I got to move and groove. Your first 3 wives, but the fourth. I built a castle, sank into a swamp. I built another castle, 2 sank into the swamp. I built a 3rd castle, burned down, sank into the swamp. But the 4th castle stayed up. Some Cheech and Chong. Hey, thanks, man. It's really great to have David Bakley stopping on by, man. I know, man. He's a good guy. Comes on by, says hello to the stream all the time, man. Without him, we wouldn't be nothing. I know, man. He's always coming in and giving his thumbs up, man. And that's great, man. I really like that. Thanks, man. Little Cheech and Chong for you. Excellent, Smithers. He did that voice very well. Yes, a little bit of Stewie Griffin stopping by, coming to hang out with you guys here, playing a little bit of Fortnite, streaming on YouTube, making videos, having a good time. Excellent, right? Oh, well, thank you. Hey, thanks, Joe. I mean, thanks, man. He's just too easy to do, man. He's one of my favorite characters, man. I know, man. And John Cheech's voice, hey, man, that's not too hard to do either. Coaster World, hey, I completely understand. 4 a.m. You got to get to having a good day. Probably get ready to wrap this up here in just a minute anyway. We did almost 3 hours. You guys made this stream so great. This is amazing. Normally, we usually use 7, 8 people I'm really happy to boast with. We had 11, 12, 13 people in this at one time. Absolutely amazing. But thank you. Let's hear some Pink Bro. Ooh, that's interesting to hear. I would love to hear. I may have to look that one up, Evil. That sounds interesting. I would love to read some more about that. Pinky? Here you go, Brian. Enough. Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering? I think so, Brian. But how are we going to get a hippo into spandex? Enough. I love Pinky. Here you go, Brian. How about Rocco's Modern Life? You guys remember Rocco's Modern Life? Mrs. Big Head, Ed, be a dear and go help Rocco. I don't want to help him, Beverly. Ed, just be a dear and go over. Rocco's Modern Life was one of my favorite shows. The big heads. Right? Look. No. It's not strange women lying guitar. It's distributing. No, he goes like this. See? I'm good at remembering lines, Josie Wales. He goes, look. Some strange watery tot lobbing scimitars at people is no way to form a bloody government. There's no absent for government. Right. Some watery tot lobbing a scimitar. Some watery tot lying around in ponds lobbing scimitars at people is not a way of forming a government. Absolutely. Is it? Passing out swords. Yeah, he does. Going around passing out swords. Some water talk limited scimitar at you. I'll have to double check. I love that movie. Oh my gosh. Love them. Whoa! You found coconuts? It's the temperate zone. Where'd you find coconuts?
Does the swallow not fly east in the winter, and are yet these not strangers in our land? Are you suggesting coconuts migrated? Not at all, they could be carried. Look, a 1 ounce bird cannot carry a 1 pound coconut. It could grip it by the husk. It's not a matter of where it could grip it, it's a matter of wind to weight ratio. Well, it could have been an African swallow. Oh, yeah, an African swallow may be, but a European swallow, that's my point. But then again, African swallows are non-migrational. Oh, yeah. Oh, The Life of Brian? I love The Life of Brian. That was Monty Python's Holy Grail. Life of Brian. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. I'm Jewish, Mum. I'm kosher. Oh, hook nose. I'm a Red Sea pedestrian. What else floats? Small rocks. I love, though, too, at that scene when they first rode up on him and he's got the 2 swallows and he's testing to see if they can fly with a coconut. We shall use my larger scales. Bring out your dead. I'm not dead. Yes, you are. I can't take him like that. I feel happy. He'll be downstairs. Come down in a moment. I can't take him. Can't you do something? I can't. When are you going to be around again? Thursday. I feel happy. I feel... Right, see you Thursday then. I love British people. Your humor is so amazingly sarcastic. So underlining. It's awesome. No, I don't know Lone Ranger or Tonto, unfortunately. I'm your king. It must be royalty. How'd you know that then? He's not covered in shit. Oh. How'd you get to be king then? It's good to be the king. I didn't vote for you. You don't vote for king? Well, how'd you get to be king then? The Lady of the Water reached out with Excalibur, handing it to me, thus exclaiming me king. Look, some watery talk going around lobbying scimitars is no basis for a form of government. I didn't vote for you. I'm not the Messiah. I say you are the Messiah, and I should know. I followed a few. Master, your people are hungry and starving. It's not my fault they're hungry. Make go eat of the juniper bush. A miracle. That's my juniper bush. I have been silent for 25 years till he came down here and jumped on my foot. Another miracle. Oh. He's going to be crucified. Could be worse. What's worse than crucifixion? It lasts for hours. Oh, it gets you out in the open air. You're an old strange twat. That's funny. You haven't given us time to hide yet. The Judean People's Front. The People's Front of Judea. Well, who's the Judean People's Front then? Him. Splitter! Are you a woman? No, I'm not a woman. I'm a Roman. Oh, strike him roughly, said Chilian. And throw him to the floor, sir. Oh yeah, yes, throw him to the floor. That's a good. Pickus Dickus. It's a joke name, sir. Man, I risked rewind that 1,000,000 times when I was a kid, laughing my head off at Pickus Dickus. Is there something visible when I say the name of my friend? Pickus Dickus? He's got a wife, you know. Her name? Continentius. Continentius buttocks. Oh, that's funny. Now for something completely different. I love when the arrow in Life of Monty Python comes in and he hits the guy. Message for you, sir. Oh, since you were mortally wounded, I think I'm okay, sir. No, stay down, fair Blinken. I shall ride off to avenge your sir-to-be death. I think I can walk. No. Message for you, sir. Just that line is so great. Joe, you will never be strange to me, bro. I can laugh a million times at Life of Monty Python. Anything they do is great. I wasn't a big fan of the Baron von whatever it was. I wasn't a big fan of that movie, but I love Holy Grail and I love Life of Brian. And I think that one of the best scenes in Life of Brian is that, and this goes so unnoticed for so many people, is the scene where he's writing Romani Eunt Domus. And he comes up and he goes, "What's this then? Romani Eunt Domus." The people that call the Romans, they go to the house. What's this? The funny in that, though, is this, okay? That whole scene is great, but the underlining funny that so many people fail to catch is that you have a Roman soldier talking to a Jewish citizen over a Greek, over Latin writing in English lessons with British accents. My God, that is genius. An English lesson in Latin between a Roman soldier and a Jew in Jerusalem with British accents. Fantastic. Fantastic. That is hilarious. Now, I'll write it 1,000 times before sunrise, or I'll cut your balls off. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Finished. Right. Now, don't let it happen again. The change of guard happens, and then they read it correctly. Did he do the deed? 100 times. It's giant across the city walls. Romans go home. So if it tells you anything about the Middle East. Oh, absolutely. See, it's a group of us out here. This is the group of us. This is us. The ones who laugh at the funny, stupid things that nobody else gets. When you don't feel like you're hanging out and people aren't getting it, don't worry about them. They're not in with us. They're not one of us, one of us, one of us, one of us. But it's okay. They don't have to get it, but they're not one of us. And that's okay because we found each other. And that's all that matters is we get the humor. We laugh at it. And anytime you see it, you just remember that if your boy Jake Greenbaum was right there next to you, he'd be dying laughing and saying the lines with the movie. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for everybody who was stopping by and made this stream absolutely amazing. Thank you again to Michael Malloy for the super chat. Thank you to J-Man, Josie Wales, our new friends, Evil Surrounds Us. Thank you so much for everybody who listened to this. We disagreed on a ton of things, but we're still friends. We got along. I'll be back to do goofy other things. I don't normally go political on these kind of videos. Normally, we're just goofing off and doing voices and having fun and picking my brain for stupid stuff. Maybe telling some army voices. You guys stay tuned. Next month, November 16th, the Joe and a Jay Show will be back for season 4. Still looking very much forward to that. I'm going to get some more footage and compile just a stupid video of stuff that Sip and I do. That's coming soon, so you guys will be able to see the underwater bat cave soon enough. If you haven't, make sure you go check out the merch site. There's a link in the description. You can go get yourself a t-shirt, hoodie, mugs. We've got stickers. We've got the female tees. Get yourself a nice hoodie. Winter's coming. It's better than doing a super chat because at least you get something physical that you can use. Tricky, thank you so much to everybody. You guys take it easy. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for wasting some of your life with me. You guys have been great. Later.